I'm just gonna take your shot, Sheriff, until you call in. I know you're listening.
I didn't go for drugs. I'm just gonna keep doing it until you call in.
You know, always answer my questions. Always showed up. Yeah, he was the horseman though. We rode that horse, but they didn't have vehicles. He's in the department for 50 years. 50, 72. 50 years. No, he's been sheriff for 20 years. Yeah, he was in the department for 50.
Hey, he's been sheriff for the majority of my life.
Friday night's shooting at Independence High School is part of a larger problem with younger teens becoming involved in gangs. The 15-year-old boy is accused of killing 17-year-old Levi Jermaine Carter Brown during a football game. Six other known gang members have been arrested in two separate incidents. Police say officers found 3 guns along with masks and gloves, and investigators say the groups may have been getting ready for retaliation. Lieutenant Kyle Ursery with BPD Special Enforcement Unit says gang members in Bakersfield are getting younger, and social media can make conflicts spread and escalate a lot faster. Police say they are keeping an eye on social media, tips, and activity on the streets for signs of more violence. Ursery says gang membership by itself is not a crime. Officers need evidence that someone committed another offense before they can make an arrest. The heat stays with us today. A heat advisory remains in effect for Bakersfield and much of the valley through 11 o'clock tomorrow night. Bakersfield should reach about 104 today and again tomorrow. The desert is under an extreme heat warning. The good news comes on Thursday when Bakersfield should drop into the upper 90s. Similar temperatures are expected Friday and through the weekend. Better Business Bureau is warning college students about fake job offers and student loan forgiveness scams. Scammers can pretend to be employers or schools and ask for money or personal information. The BBB says legitimate employers will not send you a check and then ask you to send part of the money somewhere else. Students should also be suspicious of anyone promising instant loan forgiveness for the week. I'm Bob Archer in the current newsroom. News every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KER.
The rest of the month from now, Hollywood Big Shot's gonna give you what you want. Too late, man. Start shooting in a week. I'm gonna make him an offer again.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, or however you may be viewing, if you're streaming on YouTube. This is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, and we're streaming live at KERNradio.com. We got a busy broadcast. The big local story, a shocking development at the Board of Supervisors meeting today, when longtime Sheriff Donny Youngblood announced that at the end of the year, he intends to walk away from the Sheriff's Department. We will talk with the Sheriff right after our first break, coming up at 3:15. It is a Tuesday, so Teresa Golder will join us at the bottom of the hour. We will get into the Supreme Court decision siding with the president on mail-in ballots. We will let our judge unfold that. Howard Marcus joins us at 4 o'clock. And we now know that both participants in the shooting at Independence High School, both the alleged shooter and the victim, Levi Brown, were gang rivals. The family says he was not in a gang. You will hear from the family in just a minute. I just, obviously, we all are heartbroken that a 17-year-old has died. I mean, doesn't that go without saying? But I don't know how comfortable I am praising a gang member. I'm sad this young man died, but disappointed in not only the child, but the family. Because on 17, they talked about his father's an electrician, his stepmother's employed, his godmother's employed. It was 4 women that discussed this with the news. There was no father involved, no male member involved in the discussion. And yet he was affiliated with a gang. I don't understand how you can then, as you will hear in the audio, blame, as the family is, Kern High School District for his death. Insisting there should have been more security, there should have been this, there should have been that. No, there should have been no gang activity. How about that? Let's start there. As black-hearted as it may seem, it's the God's honest. Why did you not get more involved in your son's life and prevent him from getting into a gang? I'm sorry, as ugly as that may sound, that's the bottom line. And as a guy that covered gangs, as a guy that worked in South Central and had to fall on his belly because gang members were shooting at our newspaper, I have a intense, very intense hatred for these teenage terrorists. So excuse me if on one sense I'm not shedding a tear, but I feel for the family. My thoughts and condolences go out to them. But don't stand up. Hang on a second, there's something wrong. Let's find out. Turn the button on, please. JR.
Always turn that down. And Chris hasn't said anything yet, Lisa, so don't worry. Why are y'all so worried about hearing Chris? Chris ain't part of the show. Okay. He just rolled his eyes up. Oh, was that right? Get your own audio tomorrow. But again, I'm sorry. It's ingrained in me. I've told you the story, me walking up to a Jack in the Box on 43rd and Central and seeing a young kid ambushed, swimming in his own blood, having to stick my microphone in mothers' faces because their sons died of gang activity, and to a mother, they will claim that my son was never involved. But the police have absolutely identified him. We'll get into that at some point. The Lindsay Clancy case is still going on. My prediction that we'd have this thing to the jury by the end of the week may not pan out. The jury was once again sent home early. I have audio of the defense attorney explaining why they were calling for a mistrial. And we've got more information on 49er owner Jed York, who is a lucky man, to be honest with you, going to a trailer park outside of his hometown of Youngston, looking for sex at a trailer park for $140. The lucky part is that they kicked it down to disorderly conduct. And, let's face it, if you're an NFL owner, you get a pass. Go ask Robert Kraft. If you get mixed up with some kind of prostitution, if you don't get a pass. Remember that? New England Patriot owner getting caught up, what was it, down in Florida? With some happy ending massage place? Nothing happened to him. As there will be nothing happening to Jed York. Because technically, if they try to pull the moral code on him, they'll say, disorderly conduct? Really? In the National Football League? Let me just break down the number of guys that were arrested over this past offseason, for goodness sakes. But in the meantime, we talk about the death of Dolly Parton. Really, really sad. She was a wonderful woman that no one ever I have ever heard anyone say anything ill about Dolly Parton. She was, her claim to fame, really, in the big scheme of things, were obviously her talent and her skills and her singing ability. She started singing when she was a little child, and she got on the Porter Wagner show as a teenager, and that made her kind of a star. And then she got to the Grand Ole Opry, and she was a very funny lady. There were 2 lines that I always remember she would play. She would say, "It takes a lot of money to look this cheap." which I thought was kind of funny. And then she was always asked, inevitably in some interview, why don't you run for president? I just heard Ralph Bailey say on his show, nobody dislikes you. Nobody said a bad thing about you. You could win. And she would say, you know, they have enough boobs in D.C. They don't need mine, which I also thought was kind of funny. But let's go ahead and take an early break so we can get Sheriff Donny Youngblood in here and discuss his departure. 20 years as our sheriff. We'll talk to the sheriff. Why not fulfill the contract? Why not hang on one more year and let it be an open election rather than allowing the board to appoint somebody in 2027? And if you have any questions for the sheriff, you better get them in now. We'll ask them if you put them on the board or in the chat room, 842-5376, 842-KERN. After we talk with Sheriff Donny Youngblood, Teresa Goldner joins us live in studio. And then at 4 o'clock, we're running up the hill to talk with our good friend Howard Marcus. And good news for the Dodgers is they get into a big series tonight down in the place of my birth, Atlanta, GA. Tyler Glasnow is back on the bump tonight. And the Dodgers are trying to maintain their lead over the Braves for that second spot to get a bye and avoid the three-game play-in, wild card, whatever the Sam Hill you want to call it. And it's old news late in the week, but bad news for local golfers. We've lost yet another golf course. Do you know in the 30 years that I've lived here, we've built one new golf course, but lost 4. Cottonwood Country Club, Valley Grande, Sycamore Canyon out in Arvin, Wasco out in Wasco, and now Scarlet and Gray, better known as Rio Bravo. Just getting started on a Tuesday. Sheriff Donny Youngblood joins us next. Don't go anywhere.
Kern Radio, News Talk.
Maker.
KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we will not only have John Cox to do the news quiz, always a good time. We have Catherine Howling, who's one of the city council candidates of Ward 3. She'll be joining us on the program. And we have news and traffic and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
I literally was just down the hall on my last break talking about the fourth quarter of my life with Rand Dizzle down in the hot studios. And I was telling him just what a 500-pound gorilla I got off my back about 10 years ago when I became a client at Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. I don't have to worry about the late fourth quarter in my life. Who knows when that could be? That could be tomorrow. That could be 5 years from now. That could be 20 years from now, for all I know. And that's why I suggest you call Daniel at 661-395-9400. If you're over 50, it's time to start thinking about the late fourth quarter in your life. Become a client of Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors, or just tune in on Thursdays at 4:30 where Daniel joins us with all the information on silver, gold, the deficit, et cetera, et cetera. Daniel Petrie and the folks at Messmaker Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice or a solicitation for advisory services by Daniel Petrie or MPWA Incorporated, DBA, Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. The program host is a client and receives compensation and other financial benefits in connection with this advertisement, creating a conflict of interest. Experiences discussed may not be representative of other clients.
Looking to refresh your home or business with a clean, professional, new look? Trust the experienced team at Howling Painting. Family owned and operated in Kern County since 1978, Howling Painting has built a reputation for quality workmanship, dependable service, and attention to detail. From residential to commercial projects, interior or exterior painting, their team is committed to delivering beautiful results at competitive prices. Named Best of Bakersfield's Best Painting Company in both 2025 and 2026, Howling Painting takes pride in making sure every customer is completely satisfied before the job is done. And with a fully licensed and insured team, you can feel confident knowing your property is in trusted hands. Call Howling Painting today at 872-0988, at 872-0988, or visit howlingpainting.com to schedule your free, no obligation consultation. Howling Painting, Quality you can see, service you can trust.
Is the volatility of the stock market driving you crazy? Is your retirement account sinking, yet you're getting older and you're starting to worry about, will I have enough for retirement? What about the money in the bank? These banks pay nothing these days. How do we get growth to get to retirement account? It's simple. Move into gold and silver. Want to know how to do it? Listen to my show, Striking Gold, with me, Kenny Michaels.
Did you know termites can silently feast on your home for 3 to 4 years before you see any damage? They can literally eat a bedroom wall in less than 2 years, causing major structural damage to your biggest investment. Don't wait for the evidence to appear. Ryan's Termite is running an early bird special. If you know or even suspect that you have termites, get on Ryan's schedule now for an additional 10% off our already lowest price. All work is guaranteed. There's no money down and no contracts. Plus, in most cases, you won't even have to move or tent your house. Protect your home and save. Call Ryan's today. That's Ryan'sTermiteControl.com.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Coming up, we are about to speak with Sheriff Donny Youngblood. And before we speak to the sheriff, let me just read really quickly his bio. In 2006, following a campaign fought on the issues of leadership and experiences, the citizens of Kern County elected Donny Youngblood to the office of Sheriff Corner Public Administrator. Sheriff Donny Youngblood is a lifelong native of Kern County. He attended East and West high schools and graduated from Bakersfield College. He enlisted in the United States Army in 1968, serving 14 months in South Vietnam. Following his return stateside, he spent his last year in the military as an Army drill sergeant, preparing young men to defend the United States of America. He left the military service in 1971. Sheriff Youngblood joined the Kern County Sheriff's Office in 1972 as a correctional officer assigned to the Lerdo facility. 2 years later, he entered the Basic Academy to begin training to become a deputy sheriff. During his career of over 45 years with the Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Youngblood worked in all areas of the department. His duty assignments included the Patrol Division, Court Services, Narcotics, Boron Substation. Boron? They sent you to Boron? I didn't know that. East Kern Substation Commander, Watch Commander, Air Support Division Commander, and Detectives. Sheriff Youngblood obtained a Bachelor of Arts degree in Administration of Justice and a Master's degree in Public Administration from Golden Gate University. He is an alumnus of the 144th class of the FBI National Academy and is also a graduate of the Post Command College. Sheriff Youngblood holds a commercial pilot's license. I didn't know that either. With instrument and multi-engine ratings, he is also an avid golfer. Yeah, he used to be a pretty good stick. Hunter and horseman. Ladies and gentlemen, Sheriff Donny Youngblood. How are you, sir?
I'm well, Ralph. How are you? That was kind of interesting to hear.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting to hear your life read out to you, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Let's begin with why? Why? Did you wake up this morning feeling liberated? Is this something that you thought about for a while, or is this something that just suddenly came over you?
No, I actually have been thinking about it for some time, Ralph. You'll get there someday when you go do your research for your radio show, and you just can't give it 100%.
Yeah.
And when you get there, you realize what's best for the county, what's best for the people that elected me, what's best for the people that you've led in the sheriff's office, and you just finally come to that conclusion. It's time to go.
Yeah. How do you feel you are leaving the department?
Well, we're on the upswing for sure. The vacancies are in the single digits or single percentages, I should say. And financially, we're in better shape than we've ever been. We're really on the upswing, filled almost every position that we could. I'm really pleased with where we're at right now. And it's because of the staff, not me. When I say we, that means you know who does the work. You're smart enough to get that.
Yeah. Walk us through, I'm sure most of my listeners know by now, the news has spread fast, but walk us through the process now. You're going to serve out this final year and not fulfill the final year of your contract and allow the Board of Supervisors to appoint someone. Walk us through how that's going to work.
Well, it goes like this. I ran for a 4-year term. That 4-year term was over in January 8th. The governor and the legislature attached 2 years to that because the governor wants the sheriffs to run during the Democrat cycle, the presidential cycle, for obvious reasons.
Right.
And so it was, this time only was a 6-year term, so there's 2 years left. And I fulfilled what I ran for in January 8th, will be 4 years. And now the board has to appoint. You cannot go to a special election. They have to appoint someone. And of course, they're going to take my input and go from there. And I think they'll make the right choice.
Yeah. Do you have, I know you're not going to tell us who it is, but do you have one singular person in mind right now?
Well, my second in command, I don't mind telling you, his name is Larry McCurtain, and he's the undersheriff. Been my right-hand man for several years. Smart, thinks like I do. We've gotten along great family man, great kids, great wife. He'd be doing an excellent job. He graduated from the Post-Naval Academy with honors. Just a really, really sharp guy, and I'm hoping that they take him.
Yeah, so he's going to be the next sheriff. I mean, they would be absolutely idiotic to not take your full-throated endorsement. That just seems ridiculous to me.
To go outside and start over right now would be, for 2 years, would be catastrophic.
Yeah, yeah. And then obviously after the 2 years, he'll have to run again against open field.
Yes.
Yeah. As you look back, we're talking with Sheriff Donny Youngblood, who this morning announced that he is retiring after the year. When you look back, what are some of the highlights of your career, not only as a sheriff, but just being involved with the sheriff's department?
Well, obviously, being elected sheriff by the people of the county is number one. I mean, that's the highlight of anyone's career.
Who did you initially beat?
Mac Wimbish, Steve Perez, Chevy Garza. You don't remember?
Oh, that's right. There was a slew.
Go-kart racing.
Yes. I forgot.
Win.
I forgot. That's right. That was one of the great bits that we did. You guys don't know what we're talking about. There were a slew of candidates when he first ran.
There were 7 of us.
7 different candidates. And just out of a lark, I was at another radio station, and we came up with an idea to have all 7 of the candidates vie in a go-kart race at out there by the DMV. What is that?
I forgot the name of it.
Yeah, I did too. But regardless, who did end up winning? Did you win that?
No, I think Chevy Garza might have won the race.
That's right, Chevy Garza. Wow, that is incredible.
But he's so old that he won't remember. So yeah, I won.
That was a pretty funny bit, actually. That made the paper. It's on the news. That was a pretty funny bit. It
seems like yesterday to me.
It really, really does. It really, really does. What first inspired you as a young man to get into law enforcement?
Well, when I got out of the service, before I went in the service, I was not a great student. And quite honestly, my dad made a deal with the principal that if I joined the military, he'd graduate me from high school.
It's a pretty good deal.
Well, and it worked. Because I went in the military, and when I came out, I was a different person. And I was looking for permanent work, and I was hired by O.C. Sills of the welfare department as a storekeeper. And I did that for about 6 months. I go, I can't do this much longer. And I saw a flyer for the sheriff's office, and that was my first inclination that maybe I could do something like that. Never aspired to work here, but I took the test, got hired, and I worked here for 30 years, left for 4, came back, and we were there for another 20.
Wow, that is incredible. What is it like? Walk us through as a sheriff who isn't really a politician, but has to be, what it's like to have to get out there and, do the proverbial kissing babies and shaking hands. Was that one of the worst parts of being sheriff?
It's actually one of the best parts.
Is it really?
You get to meet a lot of people. Everybody wants to take a picture with the sheriff, and it's a great honor to do that. And if you think you're not a politician, you're fooling yourself.
Yeah.
The sheriff's job is to sell the organization to the community and oversee the work that the staff does. Give them if they get off track, I know you think they're off track. Give them the vision, and they'll take you there, even if they disagree. And so it's a 2-prong, but you are a politician for sure. I told the story earlier today, Ralph. A kid wanted to take a picture with me when I first got elected, and it embarrassed me because why would you want to take a picture with me? You think, who the hell am I?
Right. Well, you've been a tremendous part of this community. You are what I call one of those people that make our community better. I would be negligent, though, if I have you here in the wake of what's been going on over the past week, and if I didn't ask you about where do you feel like we are with gang activity in this community? Because we've had another gang rival shooting, and then
this one was so
subsequent.
shocking because of the youth involved. You know, we know that the gangs try and entice the youth to give them identity, and this one was really shocking. We deputies we had 8 deputies right there when this happened. They just entered the pursuit and happened to be right in the right spot at the right time. But it's shocking when a 17-year-old, 16-year-old shoot each other because of whatever reason.
Yeah, makes no sense.
In our youth, we never saw that.
Yeah,
you know,
never.
We might have a fist fight, and it was a big deal.
Yep.
So we have to look back at what we're doing differently to find out what's wrong. And, you know, social media drives a lot of this. You know that. A lot of things in our world, social media drives it.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think first start is take the phones away from the kids until a certain age. I don't know what that age is. I'm not a psychologist. But this is unacceptable behavior.
Yep.
One gang member kill another gang member, they're not even adults.
Yeah, makes no sense. I've got a minute left. Let me leave you with this. What next? What are you going to do? Just play golf, travel, fish,
If I was going to do something else like work, I'd stay where I'm at.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm going to stay busy doing things that I want to do.
Well, anytime you want to play golf, you've got my number. I'll be there with you. I really appreciate all that you've done for our community. You've been a good friend to me and this program and this station, and we appreciate you very, very much, Sheriff.
Thanks, Ralph. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
All right.
Good luck.
You as well. Bye.
Donny Youngblood, 20 years. And what, over 40 years in the Sheriff's Department? Remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. Quick time out. It's a Tuesday. Donald Trump got some tremendous news from the Supreme Court on mail-in ballots right now. We'll discuss that next with Judge Teresa Golder. Then at the top of the hour, Howard Marcus joins us. All that's coming up on the Ralph Bailey Show. I would stick around if I you.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Dolly Parton, the beloved music and film star known for her vibrant personality and poignant songwriting, has died. She was 80 years of age. Her career spanned decades with hits like Jolene and I Will Always Love You. Born in Tennessee, she rose from humble beginnings to become a country music icon. Pennsylvania health officials report 2 unvaccinated residents have died after being infected with measles. They are the first measles-related deaths in the U.S. this year, following 3 last year. The U.S. is experiencing its worst measles year since 1991, with 2,777 cases reported as of Thursday. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 180 points, the NASDAQ rose 171, the S&P advanced 24. More details at srnnews.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN Newsroom.
I'm Bob Archer. The Better Business Bureau is warning college students about fake job offers and student loan forgiveness scams. Scammers can pretend to be employers or schools and ask for money or personal information. The BBB says students should be suspicious of anyone who sends them a check and then asks for some of the money back or promises instant loan forgiveness for a fee. An Emmy-winning documentary about foster youth will be screened in Bakersfield Saturday night. Current Bridges Youth Homes is holding a fundraising gala featuring Possible Selves, a film following 2 young people in foster care as they work toward college graduation. A Bakersfield nonprofit is holding a pickleball fundraiser Saturday to help seniors pay for prescriptions and transportation to medical appointments. I'm Bob Archer in the Kern Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
I'm not one to say I told you so, but I switched to Pure Talk over a year ago, and ever since I've been telling people there's no better wireless company out there. Well, a few months ago, a massive survey was conducted. 123,000 people were asked to rate their wireless carrier in 4 categories: coverage, support, data, and overall value. Well, the results are in. Guess which wireless company was the only wireless 5 stars in every category? Yeah, Pure Talk. 5 stars, every category. To celebrate, Pure Talk is offering the first 3 months of any plan for just $15 a month, including their top-tier unlimited plan. No contract, no commitment, just a very inexpensive way to test drive the only American wireless company with 5 stars in every category. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service will take it from there. Again, pound 250 micro. And yes, I told you so.
Maxwell in the morning. Good till the last mic drop.
Cam Newton, he claims that there were players, coaches, and execs that told people that they got the COVID shot, but they really didn't. And he was defending Aaron Rodgers over his recent statements on ESPN. What Cam Newton is saying is that he has a right to be upset just because he didn't get this COVID shot, because there are those people who didn't get the shot either.
Weekdays 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
We've got some audio of Dolly Parton we're going to play for you a little bit later. And did you get anything from 9 to 5? Which one did you get?
The scene of her rushing the boss, saying, "So you're telling everybody we're sleeping together."
The one, I've got a gun in my purse, and I'll turn you into things of the film. 9 to 5, starring Dolly Parton, Fonda, and Lily Tomlin, and Dabney Coleman. Boss. It's a great film. If you haven't seen it, it'll be something this weekend. Meantime, as you can tell, it's a Tuesday, and Judge Teresa Golder joins us live in studio. How are you, Judge?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Ralph?
I'm outstanding.
So that line that you quoted about "turn you into a rooster,"
yes,
that's from a film. It's not a lyric.
No, it's from you've never seen 9 to 5?
I saw 95, but a long time ago.
Yeah, it's a great picture.
Dolly Parton,
she
Jane
plays
Fonda,
Lily Tomlin, Dabney Coleman, and Sterling Hayden. You know who Sterling Hayden is?
I do remember Sterling Hayden. I do.
Who is Sterling Hayden?
I don't know.
He played the sergeant.
No,
he plays the sergeant who punches Michael Corleone in the face and gets shot with Sollozzo.
That's not where I remember him from.
Do you remember the scene in Godfather where Sollozzo and the cop get shot in the restaurant?
No, and you think I would, because we watch The Godfather every Christmas. We watch Godfather 1, 2, and 3.
I don't know what you're doing, because that's one of the most dramatic scenes in the whole damn film. Where else would you know? Sterling Hayden, a young Sterling
I recognize the name.
Have you ever seen Suddenly, the film where Frank Sinatra plays an assassin and he's going to kill Franklin Roosevelt?
No.
And Sterling Hayden plays the sheriff that breaks it up.
I'm going to go look him up now.
He's a great actor. He's been in a lot of really good
films. What does he play in 9 to 5?
He is the corporate boss who comes in and checks in, and once the ladies take over and make a bunch of changes,
right,
and then they bring Dabney Coleman back and he thinks it's a disaster, that's the day that the big boss, Sterling Hayden, shows up, and he loves all of it. And then Dabney Coleman tries to take credit for it, and just to show karma at the end of the film, Sterling Hayden says, "You're a good man. You're a good man. I love what you've done. In fact, we're going to send you to Zambia." I need you to go to Zambia. He's like, "Zambia?" I made up the country.
What a deal.
Zambia. You're off. Get out of here. And then the ladies really take over the office.
That's funny.
Yeah,
well, thank you for playing some Dolly Parton today on the show. I just really loved her, and I'm so sorry that she passed away.
We'll always love her.
I didn't think that she was going to die.
She didn't get that.
We will always love her. Yeah, it's her song.
Yeah,
I will always love you. Yeah. That's one of my favorite songs of hers. It's a beautiful song.
It is, and it's an interesting story because Elvis was the first one that wanted to sing it, not Whitney Houston.
Did she write
the song? She wrote the song. She performed it, but it didn't go anywhere.
Huh.
And so Elvis wanted to do it. But of course, Colonel Parker, who was a despicable, god-awful human being. If you've never seen the movie where Tom Hanks plays him and they let go with all why he was despicable and how he probably not only ruined Elvis's career, but ruined his life. Although on a certain level, he elevated Elvis's career. But then once he got him elevated, then he had him do all those stupid 60s movies instead of performing. And just anyway, Colonel Parker wanted a piece of the writing rights, which is where the money is.
He wanted it
You know,
for Elvis.
Dolly made more money on that song than Whitney Houston ever imagined. The writing rights is where you get paid. And they wanted a cut of that. She was like, no, it's my song. Go kick rocks.
You go, Dolly.
And about 10 years later, she gave it to Whitney Houston, and boom, big.
So are you, I know that you're not really a big Elvis fan, are you?
I mean, I enjoy his music, and I enjoyed his personality. And when he was young, what kid didn't love Elvis movies?
Did he and Anna Margaret have a thing?
Yes.
Like for real, or it wasn't
Yes.
just a PR machine thing?
No, during the filming of Viva Las Vegas, they were very much hooking up.
Okay.
Very
Okay.
much.
Because I think I read an interview of her where she talked about really being in love with him.
Yeah.
And that she didn't, she didn't tell all or anything like that. She just talked about how the affection that she had for him.
And I think she was smart enough, because I think I've read this too. She was smart enough to know I could not be in his orbit. You know what I mean?
Huh.
She realized we're two superstars. It would not work, which is too bad.
Well, Priscilla was good too, though.
Yeah, but I mean, look what she had to go through. And
Yeah, she didn't have it so nice.
Yeah. Anyway, mail-in ballots.
Yes,
The president
yes.
got another
Oh,
good
my
news
goodness.
from the Supreme Court in a 6-3 vote.
He is a happy camper.
Yes, he
Very
is.
happy camper. It's great. It's really interesting how we talked about this case before. I don't know if you remember that. We
Yeah.
talked about this a
Oh,
couple
yeah.
weeks ago.
Mhm.
And this is a case that's about an executive order that he signed and 3 separate provisions of his executive order that these 23, the District of Columbia and 23 states actually challenged it in this case. And they won.
California being one.
California is one of the lead ones.
Mhm.
And in fact, they got an injunction in the trial court, which was sustained by the Court of Appeals. And then they go up to the Supreme Court. And of course, the Supreme Court now has dissolved it, saying that the trial judge screwed up, didn't make the right ruling on what you're supposed to look at when you give an injunction. And it's really all about 3 things that they said. First part had to do with being able to, let's see, it was Rule 23. Let's see, I thought I had this memorized for you. The first part had to do with creating these citizenship list.
Right.
And it basically ordered the Department of Human Services, the DHS secretary, to create a list of citizens that were adults in a certain number of states. Not all the states were opposed to this executive order, just some of them. And then to provide those lists to the states. And remember, that order didn't say, this is what you have to do with the list. It said, just give them the list of all the adults who are eligible to vote in the states. And so they didn't like that. They felt that that was intimidation just by giving them a list, not telling them what to do with it, just giving them the list itself. And then the other part that they challenged, the second part, had to do with directing the Attorney General of the United States to prioritize investigations and prosecutions when appropriate of local and state officials who violate election laws by providing mail-in ballots to ineligible voters. That was the second part that was challenged. And then the third part that was challenged had to do with ordering the Postal Service.
This is the part where I think it gets funky.
Yeah. The first 2 is kind of more understandable why the court would not say, no, you don't need an injunction for that.
Right.
But the third part had to do with ordering the Postal Service to initiate the process of proposing a rule that would talk about how are you supposed to handle the distribution of ballots. And at the time that the executive order was issued, there was no rule that was proposed. There wasn't anything in writing. He was just instructing them to go ahead and come up with some kind of a rule. Well, since they have proposed a rule, and the rule is that they want the ballots to be sent out to people when they're mailed in official envelopes that have the official logo on it, and also to have an identifiable barcode so that the barcode can track the zip code where the ballot actually goes to. And those are the rules for federal ballots, because of course they don't have any jurisdiction over what happens with state ballots. But that's it. But then where I think it could get a little funky later on in the case is the proposed rule also says that they are to intercept any ballots that are not consistent with the list of voters that the federal government has come up with.
That's where the case will fail.
Yes, I think
Because
that's the
you're
red right
making
there.
You're making the Postal Service make eligibility decisions, essentially, right? Am I wrong about that?
In a way, you are right, because you're saying don't let those ballots, intercept them. Don't let those recipients, those addressees, people on the addresses get those ballots if they're not on our list.
And you can't have the Postal Service involved in that.
Well,
Nor do I think the Postal Service wants to be involved in that.
There is a lot of dissension in the Postal Service about this executive order. You know, people are kind of biting their tongue, but there's been a lot of kind of some talk about it, how we don't want to have to follow this order, but now he's got some new people in the Postal Service on the Board of Governors, and they're very much in line with President Trump's thinking on things.
Oh, he's done an incredible job in the year and a half of putting people in place that will do exactly what he wants to do. That's why I fear the 2028 election. That's why I fear the midterms, because he's got all of this. He took 2016 to 2020 to learn the system. Now he knows the system. He studied it for 4 years. And now I think he knows how to methodically manipulate.
He is on this Postal Service thing with respect to elections like nothing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He is not going to give up on this.
No.
And he's kind of turning it in. He's looked at it from inside, outside, all different directions. And I think he's figured out, like you said, if I get the right people on the Board of Governors,
I can do whatever I want.
That are in track with me.
I can do whatever I want.
This is going to be okay. From his thinking. But, you know, you still got the court going, and it's really interesting. Basically, what they did yesterday was, this is the Supreme Court. They said, you know, this is not an appropriate injunction because it's premature. They don't have standing. It's all about standing. And we talk about standing a lot when we talk about Supreme Court cases, because one of the things that has to happen is you've got to have what's called in constitutional law. By the way, I'm teaching constitutional law now.
Is that right?
This year. Yes, at the local law school at the Kern County College of Law.
Nice.
I am the con law professor this year.
That'll be
So
fun.
I'll get to bore you with all these constitutional law things.
That'll be fun.
These cases.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
But one of the big issues in constitutional law is you have to have a case that is justiciable. And what that means is you have to have standing, basically. And there's other things that make things non-judiciable, but standing is the big enchilada on all of this. And standing means you got to have some skin in the game. And the court said here, these 23 or 23 states and the District of Columbia do not have standing at this point to go ahead and pursue this, at least with respect to getting an injunction. Now it's going to go back to the trial court, and the trial court's going to have to look at all this stuff all over again. But the reason that they said they don't have standing is on the first part of the order that they objected to, they said the case just isn't ripe yet, and they haven't proposed any orders. The list that they said that they wanted DHS to come up with, they don't tell them what to do with the list. They're not telling the states what to do with the list. So there's no harm there. You don't have any skin in the game, states, on that part of the order. The second part, where you're talking about how he's directing the Attorney General to make it a priority to investigate and prosecute these kinds of crimes or these kinds of matters where people are sending out ballots to ineligible people. They were saying, you're threatening us, and that gives us standing because we have a threat of harm. We have a threat of federal prosecution. Well, the Supreme Court didn't see it that way. And it's ruling, and they issued, I think it was a 10-page ruling yesterday. They said, no, all he's doing is directing his Attorney General on the order of priorities. And that is something that is within a president's power. A president's power under Article 2 of the Constitution is to create priorities for his administration, and election integrity is a priority to President Trump, and he has the power to do that. I thought that was very interesting.
That is interesting, and it's something new as far as I understand. And here's what I don't comprehend, however. How can they do this in the middle of an election? I mean, ballots literally all over the country are going to start going out next Monday.
That's right.
We've got a primary going on, a runoff right now in South Carolina.
So they're going to have a problem if the rules are actually enacted that says you got to have these barcodes on the envelopes that go out when you just on outbound ballots.
So what happens?
If I think that it's going to be upheld, I do think it's going to be upheld. I don't know about the part about intercepting the ballots is going to be upheld, but I think ordering that the ballots be in an envelope that's an official envelope that has a barcode on it that is trackable by zip code, that'll probably be upheld, I think. If it's not, I don't know what would happen. But if they intercept the ballot, that's a whole nother ballgame. We're just going to have to wait and see how the court analyzes that part of it. We haven't gotten to that part yet.
With ballots going out next week, when are they going to make a decision on this?
They don't have to make a decision anytime soon. And that's part of the problem that Justice Jackson said. She wrote a very long dissenting opinion. Justice Sotomayor and Justice Kagan wrote a dissent to this saying, this is silly. We know what this is. This is Trump trying to control the election. Let's call it for what it is. That's basically what they said. Justice Jackson.
Are they accurate?
Well, I don't, we have to wait and see what happens in this one. I think that Trump has threaded the needle on a lot of this in the way he issued the words in his executive order, because it says you should only, when you talk about prioritizing and prosecuting local officials for election issues, in appropriate cases. He puts in these qualifiers. And when he talks about proposing rules that are lawful and appropriate, always qualifiers in there. And I think the qualifiers might save the case from the administration's perspective. But Justice Jackson is very upset about this. She wrote a very strong dissent, and it was pretty tough. She's pretty tough on her colleagues, and her colleagues were pretty tough on her in their majority opinion. I have a feeling there's some hard feelings there.
Oh, they can't stand her.
You can really tell.
And she can't stand them.
She's really way out there on this one, I think, though. But you can tell she's really mad. She's, as they say, she's big mad.
What is she mad at exactly?
She thinks that this case is nothing more than a subterfuge for controlling elections. This is all about intimidating election officials. Let's call it as I have to call it as I see it. This is ridiculous. This case this executive order must be stayed. Otherwise, it's going to screw up these elections, period.
It really is. I don't see how it's not.
Well, I'll let you look at her. I'll leave you with a copy of her dissent.
I mean, what do you think of that in terms of the elections and the chaos that's about to ensue?
Well, there could be chaos. I'm not denying that, but I think that he has the right to instruct his attorney general on priorities of prosecution. I think he has the right to instruct DHS to create lists, whatever they're going to do with the lists. We'll see what happens with that. It's too early to know right now. At this point, it's too early to say. We just have to wait.
And this is really all about 2020. At the end of the day, this is about the titanic wave that he has created in doubt of our election system. He's got people on this radio station being election deniers. He has created this theory that if you lose, you just say it was stolen.
But that person that you're talking about, wasn't that person an election denier way back when? From the beginning? Has that always been the case?
Who?
The person on this from this station that you're referring to?
I didn't really want to get deeply into that,
okay,
Terry,
but we won't talk about that then.
Yes, but I think it was created
we won't talk about that.
by this whole wave that began in 2020. The absurd notion that the 2020 election was stolen. Yet the 2024 election somehow ended up being fair. Like, isn't that just logically absurd? That the Democrats have this technique to steal elections, and every Democrat I know going into the 24 election would have allowed God to come down and tear off their pinky if they could keep Donald Trump out of the White House. But yet, for some reason, they didn't use this mechanism that they had in 2020.
It didn't work that time.
Is that the theory that it didn't work?
It just didn't work.
The mechanism didn't work?
I don't know.
They applied it,
I don't
know. It was broken.
What do you think is going to happen in the governor's election? Are we going to have, I understand that that Steve Hilton is starting to come back.
He is. I'm getting that on the rundown tomorrow because we're so busy. Maybe I can squeeze that in today. But yes, a 25-point lead went down to 16.
Yeah.
It's now down to 8.5.
Yes.
Steve Hilton is on the move. And I predicted this. I said when it was 25 that it was going to be close. I didn't go out as far as say Steve Hilton's going to come back and win. But I said Javier Becerra, by people that worked with him, that's what's so damaging. It would be like the comparison I made. It would be like if Randy and Chris and JR and Jay Reed and everybody on our staff said everybody knew when Bailey was here, everybody hated him. Because that's exactly what
Is that what they're saying?
Xochitl Hinojosa, who
Really?
I think it's her sister that's running for governor against Greg Abbott, because she's a Hinojosa, and how many Hinojosos are there? But anyway, she was the one, she was a Biden cabinet member who went on Abby Phillips' show and said, look, he was a horrible HHS secretary, and we have the audio, and the one that I felt that damaged him the most was when she said, you can ask anybody in the cabinet, and they will tell you he was a disaster.
Disaster.
That's about as bad as it gets.
Disaster as a colleague or disaster as doing the job that he was supposed to do?
Doing the job he was supposed to be doing.
So
how did he
get as far as he's gotten?
Swalwell dropped out. There was nowhere else to go. None of the other Democrats were likable. They certainly weren't going to. Katie Porter. I mean, look at the candidates.
Swalwell. Don't even say that name.
Exactly. Look at the idiots that they put up. One's a criminal. He's about to go to prison. Katie Porter is abusive to her staff and her husband and anybody comes in contact with her. But there was nobody else to turn to.
Boy, that's tough.
And technically, if you look at his resume, it's fairly impressive. He was Attorney General, where he was a disaster. He was the HHS Secretary. I mean, he has an impressive record, but everybody that's worked with him says he's an absolute disaster. Absolute disaster.
Wow, that's not good. Well,
it's still a tough road for Steve Hilton, but this thing's going to be close.
Okay, so.
And what they need, what he has to have, what can get him over the top, but Becerra will never, ever agree.
A debate.
Damn Skippy.
A real debate where they talk about the real issues.
But Becerra, if I'm Becerra's campaign manager, I would tackle him and hide him in a closet.
That's ridiculous.
But that's winning.
That's sad. Isn't that sad? You're supposed to be able to talk about issues.
You should, but if that's the way I would do it if I were them.
So what do you think's going to happen?
Even if Becerra came to me and said, I want to debate him, I'd be no. We got an 8-point lead. We got a couple of months. No.
Just hang in there.
Just
write it out.
Just hold on and write it out.
So are we going to see this surge of votes coming in after the election?
I think so. I think there's more enthusiasm among the Republican Party. I think once the Republican Party grasps, we have a shot. We can do this. I think they'll do what I've been urging them to do because it's not enough for you to vote. It's not. You've got to encourage your neighbors. You got to talk to your friends. You got to make sure grandma gets there. You got to talk it up. Hey, are you voting? No, he's losing by 16. No, he's not. He's losing by 8. You got to vote. You got to register. Boo, boo, boo. We really got to get energized. And I think there is more energy in the state of California on the Republican side for some final change than there is to keep this moron in politics.
I was talking about a surge of last-minute drop votes on the Democratic side, like we saw in the LA mayor's race, to change the outcome.
Are you implying that there's fraud?
I don't know, but I don't like that. I don't think that's right. I don't. I think that
Los Angeles is 75 Democrats. Who do you think that the dump is going to favor?
Are we going to see that in the governor election too? If it's close, then all of a sudden, 3 days later, we're going to have thousands and thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of ballots coming in, and they're all going to be Becerra ballots, and none of them are going to be Hilton ballots. I don't like that.
That
just
may
looks
happen,
funny.
but that has nothing to do with fraud.
Okay.
That has absolutely nothing to do with fraud.
Nothing at all.
No.
Okay.
Don't you think, as an intelligent woman, seriously, as a very, very intelligent woman, don't you think that if there was political fraud in voting, that some super genius could figure out how it's done and expose it?
I hope so, and I have a feeling
we could swing LA mayoral races that involve millions of votes, or presidential votes that involve tens of millions of votes, or gubernatorial races. You really think that somebody knows how to swing those votes?
I would feel a whole lot better and a whole lot more confident in our system if, for example, the Ninth Circuit rules on this case and says, yes, California, give the federal government everything they want to get to know to find out if the voter rolls in California are legitimate, and that the people that are on those rolls are alive, well, and legally entitled to vote.
I don't have a problem with that.
I would feel so much better.
I don't have a problem with that.
I would be totally on board with everything that you're saying if I could have confidence in the voter rolls.
But you think there's massive amounts of people that are voting that shouldn't?
I don't know. That's the problem, is I don't know.
But what does your logic tell you?
Well, I just don't know. I don't feel comfortable saying, no, there's no fraud.
I never said that. I never said there's no fraud. I said there's no fraud.
It's not enough to
that
change
could-
the election.
Exactly.
That's what.
Exactly.
But how do you prove? Wouldn't it be great if you could file a lawsuit like the federal government has in order to get the evidence to show whether these are legitimate voters or not? What is wrong?
No, I just said I have no problem with that. No problem with that.
And in that case, I don't think anybody would have any objections to late votes and all that kind of thing, because if people are entitled to vote, they're entitled to vote.
But getting the Postal Service to basically declare eligibility and start throwing away ballots.
Well, it's that intercept provision.
That's crazy.
That's going to be the tough part.
Yeah,
I think.
that's crazy.
And to get back to what Justice Jackson said, her main beef in her very strong dissenting opinion on this is that the Constitution assigns the power to conduct federal elections to the states, period.
Yes.
And he should have no say in any of this.
Isn't she right about that?
That is what the Constitution says. But he has
that makes her right.
Well, that's what Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution says that.
It's funny, I wrote that down. I really did.
Well, you should be in my class, Rob. You'd be a star student. And one more thing. Do we have time?
Yes, you got about a minute.
Okay. On yesterday or last Friday, the Supreme Court gave President Trump another victory on the ballroom, and I thought that was interesting. And guess why they ruled that way?
Because it's 65% done. And what are you going to do? No. Scaffolds hanging in D.C.
That's part of it. That's part of it. But it's on standing. They ruled that the National Trust for Preservation for National Trust, who is the plaintiff in that case, who sued to stop it, does not have standing. It does not appear that they have standing.
Yeah.
And their standing is based on, you ready for this? They are an organization, and the standing rules say if you're an organization, you have to have at least one member of your organization who actually has a personal stake in this, who has skin in the game. And the skin in the game on that case is one woman saying that it offended her sensibilities to have to walk past the White House and see that ballroom.
Yeah, well,
and they said that's not enough.
Teresa Golder, everybody. Howard Marcus is next.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN, 96.1 FM, K241CI, Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Country music legend Dolly Parton has died at the age of 80. Correspondent Laura Winters reports on her many hit songs and the president's reaction to her death.
Her music was known around the world. She was an American original, an American icon, with hit song after hit song. 9 to 5, Jolene, I Will Always Love You. President Trump on his Truth Social page reacting to Dolly Parton's death, saying there has never been anyone like her and never will. In her honor, I am lowering the American flag throughout the United States for a 1-week period. Rest in peace, Dolly. The world loves you. Laura Winters reporting.
The first 2 measles deaths in the U.S. this year are reported in Pennsylvania involving unvaccinated victims.
They're the first measles-related deaths in the U.S. this year, following 3 last year. State officials are not giving any more details about the 2 people, except that they lived in Lancaster County. The U.S. is experiencing its worst measles outbreak since 1991, with 2,777 cases as of Thursday. In November, international health officials will assess if the U.S. and Mexico have lost their measles-free status. Vaccination rates have dropped below the 95% needed to prevent outbreaks, with exemptions rising to an all-time high among kindergartners. I'm Julie Walker.
Polls are closing this hour in South Carolina to nominate a Republican to succeed the late Senator Lindsey Graham. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 180 points, the NASDAQ rose 171, the S&P 500 advanced 24. More at townhall.com.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney, and the truth is I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. After 15 years and over 50,000 cancellations, I can tell you with confidence, we know how to get you out of your timeshare. Call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit guide absolutely free with all your options for cancellation. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-926-5959. That's 800-926-5959. 800-926-5959.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
I'm Rob Archer. Bakersfield police say they're watching for more gang violence after Friday night's shooting at Independence High School. A 15-year-old boy has been arrested in the killing of 17-year-old Levi Jermaine Carter Brown. Police have since arrested 6 other known gang members in 2 separate incidents and recovered 3 guns, masks, and gloves. Investigators say the groups may have been getting ready for retaliation connected to an ongoing conflict between rival gangs. BPD says there was no active threat at the time of its latest update. Police say gang activity is no longer limited to a few traditional neighborhoods because Bakersfield has grown and people have moved throughout the city. Officers are keeping an eye on social media and other information for signs that another confrontation might be developing. An Emmy-winning documentary about foster youth is getting a Bakersfield premiere this weekend. Curran Bridges Youth Homes is holding a fundraising gala Saturday night featuring the film Possible Selves. The documentary follows 2 young people in foster care as they work toward graduating from a 4-year university. Curran Bridges has worked with foster youth and families in the Bakersfield area for nearly 40 years. The gala begins at 6 Saturday night. Another Bakersfield nonprofit is using pickleball to help seniors who struggle to pay for prescriptions and medical transportation. The Thrive and Purpose Foundation holds its first tournament Saturday morning at Game Day Sports Academy. The tournament itself is sold out, but the public can still come out for free community play and lessons. Bakersfield should reach around 104 again this afternoon under a heat advisory that continues through tomorrow night. Cooler weather arrives Thursday. I'm Bob Archer in the Curran Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
To the rest of in a month from now, this Hollywood Big Shot's going to give you what you want. Too late, they start shooting in a week. I'm going to make them an offer again with you.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Tuesday, 25th day of August. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, where we're streaming live at KERNradio.com. I want to thank Teresa Golden for joining us. If you missed the interview, you can simply go back to YouTube later tonight and watch it in its entirety. And if you missed our discussion with Sheriff Donny Youngblood that we did at 3:15, you can go back and watch that as well on YouTube. Still lots to do. We'll get into the latest in the Lindsay Clancy case. We'll talk more about Levi Brown, the 17-year-old who was shot by an unidentified 15-year-old, allegedly, and just talk about gang activity in general. We might even talk about that with our next guest. And there's a lot of sports news. We'll get into Jed York, the owner of the 49ers, who Eddie DeBartolo's grandson got caught at a trailer park in Ohio trying to, get his groove on. And the Dodgers have a big series with the Braves as they try to stave them off to stay in the second spot to avoid the 3-game play-in or wild card or whatever you want to talk about. In intra-division play, they are trailing the Braves. Not only an interdivision player, they're trailing the Braves, but head-to-head, they're trailing the Braves 2-1 in the first series back in Los Angeles. So this 3-game series down in Atlanta, pretty damn important. And Tyler Glasnow, coming off IL, gets the start tonight. But it is a Tuesday.
The pillow that you dream on. Don't you know that I still care for you?
Send me the pillow that you dream on. Da, da, so, darling, I can dream of it too. Howard Marcus, what's really going on, Howard?
I'm sorry to hear about Donny. He's been a wonderful sheriff. There's been 2 sheriffs in my 40-plus years here in Bakersfield and Kern County. One was Carl Sparks, and the other one was Donny. And I hope they have the fortitude to pick somebody who is just as good as he is. A strong law and order guy, understands civil rights and gun rights. He's been wonderful as a sheriff, and I'm sorry to hear that. But then again, that's a long career.
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. That is incorrect.
Sheriff?
You're forgetting Mac Wimbish.
Oh.
His short stint as our sheriff.
Yep.
And then he ran for re-election.
Two that I thought were wonderful sheriffs. Mac had a difficult role. He was an outsider coming in.
Yeah.
He got elected because little old ladies remember him doing the traffic reports.
I was just explaining that to Randy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on every morning on Channel 17. Right. He was the traffic guy. Everybody knew Mac Wimbish's name.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad guy either. It's just,
great guy.
I knew him, met him several times, and he was a nice guy. It's just that I think the right choice was made when Donny got the sheriff's job, and he's done a wonderful job. And it's in difficult times. There's no easy cure for what's going on now.
Mac Wimbish kept me out of jail.
There you go.
He really did. I warned
you about soliciting.
I was accused. Believe it or not, when I was doing television at the end of my career, it was why I got whacked at KBAK. I was accused of stealing plates.
No.
And my photographer is the one that saved my ass. He said, didn't we do an interview with Mac Wimbish? And you said you were having problems finding the guy that sold you the car, and you wanted to know how you could get it registered without the guy that sold it to you. And you gave Mac the license plate.
Oh,
and I was like, you're right.
Wow.
And maybe I'm a thief. Maybe I'm stupid because they accused me of stealing it from my employers, by the way, just to add to the story. But am I really that stupid that I would give the license plate to a cop? And I honestly believe that's why I was never charged. Isn't that crazy?
He came, I think he was, I'm doing this, remember, he was highway patrol. Yeah, he came from highway patrol.
Yeah.
So, if anybody knew how to do that kind of stuff, that would be Mac.
That's why I went to him.
Guy.
That's
he
exactly.
wasn't a bad guy.
No, he was a nice guy.
Oh,
he was
nice
just
guy.
way in over his head as sheriff.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's going different from, it's just a different level of job.
Yeah.
And Donny, I've had absolutely no complaints with Donny. I think he's had 1 or 2 bobbles on the way, like anybody who's human. I think the obvious Scrivener case was put him in a very difficult position.
Yeah.
And I think he handled it well. And he was honest about what, like with Karen.
Kathy Scrivener.
Kathy Scrivener. And I don't think that's going to tarnish him at all. I think he's done a wonderful job.
God, I wish I had asked him about that. I really do. I wish I'd asked him. Why isn't
after January?
why has not Kathy Scrivener been charged?
Yeah,
I should ask him.
Remember, he doesn't. Well, that's the DA's office.
True.
He doesn't bring. He doesn't bring the charges. He doesn't. He can arrest you an obvious, criminal violation on the spot. But as far as bringing charges after the fact or deciding whether to press charges or prosecute, that's a DA office.
Yeah, that would be up to Kathy Scrivener's sister.
Yeah.
So that's not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And we both know why.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
That's another subject entirely.
Chaos in the DA's office is what people are telling me. Absolute chaos.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's look, right or wrong, I was with a law enforcement agency that had extremely strict standards. And our code of conduct was such you couldn't even have the air of impropriety, let alone commit the actual act. And that's what was horrible with the DA's decisions in the whole Scrivener case. It wasn't that she did anything specifically wrong, it's that she gave off the air of impropriety and nepotism and favoritism and bypassing the judicial system. And all her actions showed that. And in any other federal law enforcement job or local law enforcement job, there'd be real repercussions.
You know, she could win in 28. She could run unopposed.
Well,
that's the only way she. That's the only way she wins.
Well, she could still run. I hope she doesn't. But if you see traditionally, the candidates come from within the DA's office.
They have to. That's why I say, if nobody in that office has the temerity to challenge her, like a Scott Spielman, and look what happened to him. You know, he disappeared. He's in Fresno, I believe.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I'm sure people within her circle are telling her how wonderful she is and how wonderful Kathy is. And yeah, you'll win at 28. Don't listen to Bailey. But if she's challenged, she'll lose. My fear now is that when I've been predicting she'll never get elected again, I never imagined, what if there's nobody in that office that's willing to stand up against her?
Yeah, you have somebody willing to take the risk of running and not winning and then face the consequence of that, which essentially means your career's over.
Yeah, you're doing juvie court and Boron.
Yeah, which is horrible. I mean, that's not a good system. So.
It is what it is. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about gang activity and how the hell do we stop this nonsense?
I knew that was one of the subjects. The problem we've got is it would take almost entire reorganization of current mores in our society going back 40 years to fix the problem, being from no father in the home to a culture of violence that celebrates violence to the loss of manners and teaching of manners even. And how do you say it? Thug culture. It doesn't matter what color you are. We all celebrate the most coarse behavior among us. Anything from music and literature and everything else, and basically the elimination of standards.
Yeah.
And you take that down to the nth degree, and basically we're just cavemen in the streets. And the gun issue is not solvable unless you solve the people issue. Because this shooting happened, there's no security issues that could have been possibly addressed.
No.
What happened on outside school grounds, because that's where the shooting was. I believe it was in the parking lot. You can't fence the city in. So what do you do? And my only thing I imagine would be no unaccompanied minors to any public events. And
I've heard that suggested, but that's not going to fly.
It's hard to do because it requires the parents to be involved, and parents aren't involved, which is the problem.
No, on a Friday night, hanging out with your child at a football game, that's not going to happen.
Well, it would if you had an old school family, if you know what I mean, where they would go to the football game. We have families did that all the time. They went together as a family. It was an outing.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the parents probably they dump the kid off and do whatever they do, if there's even parents even involved at that point.
Yeah.
And, I've heard all this, he was a good kid, the usual routine, he's turning his life around and all that. It's like, no, he wasn't. And the unfortunate thing is that there are consequences to bad behavior for both the victim and the shooter.
How does a family get on television after the police have identified your son as a member of a gang and deny that?
That's another societal issue, is the avoiding responsibility. It's always someone else's fault. You never take responsibility going, I didn't raise my kid right, or I was too lax. They're not going to come forward and say, hey, it was our fault, because you know what's going to happen next. You're going to see a civil suit against the school. That's what they're gearing up for.
Yeah. I've got some audio we're about to play where they do blame the current high school district for this.
Yeah, they're going to try and sue the district. I hope to hit the lottery ticket, which is, this happens all too often. And what ends up unfortunately happening is a lot of times they'll settle. The insurance companies get involved, and it's cheaper to settle than to litigate.
Right.
Even if there's no basis for it. But it's hard to fix this when you have to almost upend our society that we currently are living in from time to time to fix the problem. You have to almost reset the clock on everything we expect from not only adults but from children. The acting out. I think we talked about this a long time ago. My father was a pretty scary guy. About 3 karate and judo. Once I was a teenager, I never even thought of talking back to him, let alone acting out. It was just an unspoken code. I knew exactly what's going to happen if I did.
Yeah, we've lost that. We talk about that constantly, corporal punishment, fearing your father more than the police or even your principal or teachers. We've lost that because I had the same dad. My dad was scary. My friends were petrified of my father, because he was a dark-skinned black man. And don't tell me that didn't play a role, because it does. It absolutely does. Dark black men intimidate white people. That's a fact. Not everybody, but that's a fact because I lived with it for 36 years. I lived with it. and saw my friends terrified of my father and saw them interact with other black fathers that they weren't that quite intimidated. And plus, my dad had kind of a mean resting face. He was a very serious man, and he intimidated. I was more afraid of him as much as he loved me, as much as I knew he loved me. I was scared to death of that man.
No, yeah, I love my father and he loved me, but the difference was I knew exactly what was going to happen. He was very black and white.
Yes,
I knew
exactly.
How I acted out, and if I got punished, I deserved it. And I knew it even then. He was a kid. And you know, the reality is I could only name one teacher for my junior high school, and it was the assistant principal, Mr. Mignette. You know why? That was my first and only SWATs.
Yeah.
You get it once, you never want it again. He had the classic paddle with the air holes in it and all that, and he was a big guy. And you never wanted to go back in his office again, and it worked. Yeah, as opposed to timeouts and participation trophies and stand in the corner and all this stuff.
And kids now fighting the teachers.
Yeah, getting in fist fights with teachers. God knows what's done that. Jeez Louise. The worst part is if I acted out, I bet that my mom punished me because the worst thing that could happen if she told my dad how I acted out.
Right.
Same thing if I acted out of school. I didn't want my parents to find out.
Should the parents be responsible for a 15-year-old running around with a gun?
Yeah, well, they are ultimately anyways in some cases. They've had that case that was a fairly recent precedent set where they charged the parents. Remember the kid? They gave the kid a gun and he killed some people with it?
I mentioned that yesterday.
They charged the parents and convicted them.
Yeah, I alluded to that yesterday. I sure did.
Yeah, that is common. And also what's going to happen is you can have civil suits and find the parents responsible for a minor's actions. That happens all the time. Your kid beats somebody else up and really hurts them. You don't sue the kid, you sue the parents.
Yeah.
In this case, and that's as appropriate. I mean, the reality of it is that you are ultimately responsible for the people and the children in your household. And if you're going to let them act out, then you face potential fiscal and criminal consequences of their actions.
And then to learn that further arrests were made Saturday and Monday with these kids running around looking for revenge with guns and masks and gloves. I mean, that is clear. You don't have to be a detective to figure out they were looking for payback.
Yeah, they were. And, the reality, well, look what you went through you mentioned the kids on the bikes.
Yeah.
Riding, they caught them riding through the mall, riding through the library, breaking windows, riding down 19th Street. If I did that kind of stuff when I was a kid, the least of my worries would be the police.
Yeah.
Again, back to the parents.
Yeah.
But you cannot have a breakdown in the nuclear family, which we've kind of alluded to, and we've allowed to have happen for 40 years now. Where parents want to be their kid's buddy.
Yep.
And they want to give everybody, a pass because, kids will be kids. And then this behavior just slowly escalates.
And divorce has had a big part of that because dad normally doesn't get main custody.
Right.
And, dad doesn't want to be, in the few days that he does have his child, be the bad guy. So they do nothing.
Would you want to?
Yeah. And then the mom, he's got to come back to the mom now, having had a great weekend with his dad, or they went to Disneyland, they got ice cream, they went to Tommy's Burgers, they played golf, boom, 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 boom. Now he's got to come back to the reality of mom, who's got to be the warden. And the mom doesn't want to be the bad guy any more than the dad.
And gangs have replaced the family unit. That's a lot of the problem. Also, these kids that don't have fathers, their family unit isn't the family, it's the gang.
Said that yesterday as well.
They belong, they're with their peers now.
They swear it's the only place they feel love.
Right.
As crazy as that sounds.
And I don't think there's an easy answer for this. I think you'll have to have societal change, which I don't think you'll see coming anytime soon because 50% of our population are in denial.
Yeah.
And are making excuses for this behavior. You're seeing it already. When the parents of the kid are blaming the system, there are people that are going to agree with them. They're going to people go, the school should have done this, the school should have done that. No, you can't. The parent, they want schools nowadays to be everything but a school. They want them to be not only an educator, but they want them to be the parent role. They want them to teach all these things unrelated to just education. And, you want to give them 3 hots and a cot at school and all these things. And basically the parents get to abrogate all the responsibilities and lay it on the school, which is not what the school is for.
And get involved in decisions of transgenderism and defend them from their family and the knowledge that the parents should have, but don't, where my child's sociology teacher has more information about my child than I do.
Well, that's where the responsibility falls back on, to a certain extent, on the schools. You can't have schools have it both ways. They cannot say we're not responsible when the kid acts out like this, but at the same time, we're going to assume parental rights over your child's sexuality or identity or all these other issues, health issues, important life-changing issues, and we're not only going to deny the parents, we're not going to tell them about it. So you can't have it both ways. You can't have the schools be just a bastion of learning, at the same time be social engineering your children.
Yeah, I completely agree. I will leave you with this, Howard. Look into your crystal ball.
Sure.
Lindsay Clancy is going away. We know that. Is she going to be institutionalized or is she going to prison?
I think it's going to be institutionalized.
I think so,
if there's
too.
one woman in that jury, she's going to be institutionalized. You're not going to have a jury convict her. You know, that was so obvious with, you know, as many different drugs she was on, as many times she tried to get help, institutionalized herself, and telling her mother of delusions and voices and all that. And basically all they did was just give her another pill. What was it, 13 different pills?
13 different medications from two different doctors.
I honestly think as tragic as it is for the children, I think institutionalized, which is no picnic, by the way.
Yeah.
I think is the only fair answer for her.
I agree. I think when the mother-in-law, Patrick's mother, the ex-husband's mother, came in and said she was begging for help.
Right.
I think that was it.
Yeah.
I thought that was the ace of
really
spades.
mentally ill people need help.
Yeah, absolutely. Outstanding, Howard. Have a great week and weekend. Say hi to Mary, and we will wrap to you. Hey, by the way, I got my PSA exam on Monday.
Oh, I heard that. Hey, I haven't put you in Twilight.
Well, I don't think they're going to do the thing on Monday, but we're going to determine whether I have to have it done.
If you do, trust me, I just had it done 3 months ago. Honestly, you do not want to go through the process. And you see the instruments alone, you'll beg for Twilight. It's not full anesthesia. It's really quick.
Just Twilight. I don't need to be knocked out completely.
No. Well, you kind of go out anyways, because I always do, but it's not the same as a full thing with an anesthesiologist. It's you know, they'll know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Just tell them, hey, can I have Twilight?
Yeah. Okay. Always good to talk to you, Howard. Talk to you next week. All right. We'll see you. Howard Marcus, quick time out. We'll check the board before we get to the bottom of the hour. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Tuesday, right here on News Talk 96.1 AM 1230, and we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Maxwell in the morning. Good till the last mic drop.
You do know the misnomer on that. When they say it's a greenhouse gas, they're not talking about how if you have a greenhouse, that inside the greenhouse, because of the growth of the plants or anything, that you have a concentration of carbon dioxide. It's a greenhouse gas because they know if they pump carbon dioxide into a greenhouse, things grow better. So you learned something today.
Weekdays 9 to noon, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
If you're a local businessman and you take your IT seriously, there are two things that you absolutely need to do. One, you need to listen to the Ralph Bailey Show on Wednesdays at 3:30 when Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne, owner-operators of Adaptive Networks, come in, basically talking to business folks on what you should be looking for, what should be alarm bells when people are coming back and fixing the same thing over and over again. And the next thing you need to do is pick up the phone and call the Van Alstynes at Adaptive Networks at 241-0638, 241-0638. As I have talked about so often, we have teamed up for almost a year with American General Media and Adaptive Networks because as a radio station, we absolutely depend on our IT. So we had to go to a team that was reliable, competent, and has the best customer service in Kern County. If you're a serious business person, call the folks at Adaptive Networks at 241-0638 or hit them online at adaptive-net.com.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day. No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Carpet Outlet Plus is proud to support Runners Basketball. One lucky fan will join the red carpet shootout for a shot at $1,000. If your floors look like they're going into overtime, come into Carpet Outlet Plus for all your flooring needs. New wood look floors, custom area rugs, and of course, carpet. Carpet Outlet Plus, Bakersfield's best flooring store for over 20 years in a row. 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Sprain wrist, ankle twist, broken thumb can't make a fist, busted knee, surgery, that patch of ice you didn't see.
Where pain starts, Journavx suzetrigine begins.
Journavx is a non-opioid 50 milligram prescription tablet for adults with moderate to severe acute pain that reduces pain signals before they reach the brain.
Tendon tear, nose repair, tripping on that broken stair, dislocation, operation, moped crash while on vacation.
Do not take Journavx with CYP3A inhibitors. Avoid use with grapefruit or liver problems, as these may increase side effects. Tell your doctor about all your medicines if you are pregnant or breastfeeding. Journavx may make certain medicines and birth control less effective. Side effects include itching, muscle spasms, rash, and elevated muscle enzymes.
Joint displacement, knee replacement, fell on marbles in the basement, ladder slip, broken hip, that rock climb where you lost your grip.
To learn more about Journavx, ask your doctor. Call 1-833-589-PAIN or visit journavx.com.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Miss Parton wrote a lot of her own stuff. She was a very talented writer. And much like many couples, she died shortly after her husband. Her husband died about a year ago, Carl Dean. And that is pretty doggone typical. That's why I was really concerned when my father passed away. Although my mother was entirely young. My dad died at 56, so it wasn't really that big a concern. But when people get in their 70s and their 80s and maybe even their 90s and the mate passes, doesn't matter which one it is, the man or the woman, oftentimes the other mate follows very quickly. Head into the back half of the hour in this 4 o'clock hour, where we'll talk a little bit more about Levi Brown, the suspected gang member who was shot at Independence High School on Friday night. The Lindsay Clancy case is coming closer to ending, but maybe not as early as I thought. You will hear from the defense attorney, who we talked about yesterday, who is seeking a mistrial. You will hear his explanation for the mistrial. Why am I playing that since a mistrial wasn't granted? Because this will be the source of an appeal. You can bet your bottom dollar on it. It's the Ralph Bailey Show. Don't go anywhere.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Evacuations have been ordered in rural Texas, where a wildfire has quickly expanded to cover more than 78 square miles. The fire began early Monday afternoon in a lightly populated area in the north central part of the state. Some schools have canceled classes and shelters have opened for residents and livestock. Wildfires have been popping up across the south and the west in recent days amid extremely dry conditions. Dolly Parton, the beloved film and music star known for a vibrant personality and poignant songwriting, has died. She was 80 years of age. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average up by 180 points today. The Nasdaq rose 171. The S&P 500 advanced by 24 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN newsroom.
I'm Rob Archer. Bakersfield police say younger teens getting involved in gangs is an increasing concern after Friday night shooting at Independence High School. A 15-year-old boy is accused of killing 17-year-old Levi Jermaine Carter Brown during a football game. Police have since arrested 6 other known gang members and recovered 3 guns along with masks and gloves. Investigators say the groups may have been preparing for retaliation, and officers are watching for signs of more violence. Police say there was no active retaliation threat at the time of this latest update. The heat advisory for Bakersfield continues through 11 o'clock tomorrow night. The city should reach about 104 today and again tomorrow before temperatures fall into the upper 90s on Thursday. I'm Rob Archer in the current newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Progressive knows you've never met Channel 6 meteorologist Daniel Hughes, but when he says it'll be sunny, you trust him. After all, he is a weather professional who knows how to use a green screen and probably went to weather school. You never went to weather school, so you hit the farmer's market in your convertible. Turns out Daniel Hughes is not dependable, but Progressive is. So bundle your home and auto insurance and get 24/7 protection and reliable coverage. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurance not available in all states or situations.
The best time to recommit to your gut health goals? Right now. Take charge of your gut with Nature Made. Our clinically studied ingredients support digestive health. Digestive enzymes break down nutrients. Probiotic and prebiotic fiber nourish good gut bacteria. And super greens with probiotics empower daily digestive health. Try the full lineup of gut health support from Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Maxwell in the morning. Good till the last mic drop.
Studies report 77.6% of croplands area experience a positive greenness anomaly in 2025 for a world continually told that it is teetering on the edge of ecological catastrophe. A record green planet seems to be something worth mentioning. Plants apparently missed the memo that carbon dioxide is supposed to be an environmental villain.
Weekdays 9 to noon, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.
Dark-skinned and had a crazy afro for the 1980s. And I was crazy about her. And of course, she didn't want to have anything to do with me. She's a very intelligent woman. Very intelligent. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Let's check the board. We've yet to do that today. What do you got?
I once heard Dolly tell a joke on a talk show about a caged bear. If you could find the audio of that joke, it's hilarious every time I hear it.
Okay.
Try to look out for it.
Yeah, I've never heard that. I've seen her many times on the Carson Show, the Tonight Show, and on Letterman and several other shows. She's a very funny woman, very, very talented woman, very sweet woman. One of the classic lines is she was very young and she was just coming on the Tonight Show for one of the very first times. And she wore, an outfit that accentuated her very large breasts. And it became an awkward moment. And she said something like, "It's okay, Johnny, I'm used to people staring at him." And Johnny, I think, returned and said, "I'm not staring at him, but I'd give a 2 weeks pay to take a look at him. I'll tell you that, boy." And the place cracked up. It's pretty funny. What else you got?
Ralph, you're right about these punks. Their parents only care when they get popped. They need to look in the mirror if they want to blame anyone.
I mean, how do you not know that your child is a gang member? And how do you go on television and refute what the police have determined? If the police know, then you have to know. And again, honest to God, my heart, we've talked about this how many times? The single worst, there's nothing worse that can happen to you than bearing a child. Most parents that I know would rather get cancer themselves and die very shortly than to have to bury their own child. It's the single worst thing that could happen to you in life. But when the police tell you essentially that your son is an arch criminal, and then you go on television and deny that and try to blame someone else for his death, I begin to lose the empathy that I once had. Because we're never going to solve this problem if families continue to lend blind eyes and are in complete denial, and then the community rallies around this arch criminal as if we didn't know this was going to happen. Because as I tell you every single time I talk about this, there are two results of being a gang member, period. There's a third alternative, but it rarely happens. You can either get out, that's the rare alternative, or you can go to prison, or you can die. Those are your three options. There is no fourth. There is no fourth. Now, are there the Keefe D's? This guy that's on trial for Tupac's murder, who's my age? Yeah, there's some exceptions. That's how you get the phrase OG. That's another reason why I'm insulted when young people call me that, because that's really a term for an old-style gangster. Not just being an old man. You can call me Pops, you can call me Gramps, but do not call me an OG. Because as I grew up, that was always affiliated with gang membership. And having lived through this, having covered it, having going to scenes and seeing the bodies of teenagers shot up. I've told you my Jack in the Box story. It's a Tuesday night. We're putting the paper to bed. I'm working at the LA Sentinel in 87, 88. And they tell us specifically, we stay there all night to put the paper to bed. We get out of there about 5, 6 in the morning, and we have Wednesday off. And they tell us specifically, don't leave the building. We're in the middle of South Central. Do not leave the building on a Tuesday night. Well, 26-year-old Ralph Bailey, you really think I'm going to listen to anybody? So I walked out starving, and I walk up to the Jack in the Box. And from about 2 blocks away, I hear pop, 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 pop. But I didn't really pay any attention to it at South Central. You hear that all the time, to be honest with you. And I get up there, and a crowd is starting to mill around. And what they did was they boxed this kid in the drive-thru and did a Sonny Corleone. And it was really the first mass shooting that I had ever seen, where I was one of the first people at the scene, and I looked into the car, and I literally could not make out what color shirt the boy was wearing because he was swimming in his own blood. Blood on the window, blood on the windshield. It is just the saddest thing in the world to see kids killing kids. And for what? Respect? Territory? Neighborhoods? It's just insanity. It's absolute insanity. And I remember at one point, I truly felt like we should just gun them down. We should treat these guys like train robbers like they did in the 19th century and just chase them down and do away with them. They are destructive to the community. They're destructive to their families. They're destructive to the Black race and the Latino race and the Asian race for that matter, because Asian gangs aren't so big here, but you go to Fresno, Asian gangs run the show in parts of Fresno. It is insane. Absolutely insane. What else you got?
Ralph, did you hear that our sheriff is a NHRA national event winning race car driver? I hope he goes back to racing in his retirement.
Well, first of all, I doubt that. Second of all, I didn't even know he was a pilot. I didn't even know that. But again, if you missed our interview with the sheriff at 3:15, go back to YouTube. You can listen to the whole doggone thing where I read his bio before we talk to him, and then we ask him a couple of questions. What else?
According to 17 News, Friday's shooting victim was a student at a school I had never heard of. Turns out it is a mandated school for students on probation. Plus, he has a year-old child at 17 years old. The adults in his life failed him regardless of what they say on television.
I agree. Having a child at 16, running around in a gang, and you're shocked at the result? I mean, I suppose every family is shocked, even if they know that their child is involved in the situation. But I think the 15-year-old's parent should be held culpable for his wandering around with a pistol in his waist. And I hope and pray that the city or the school district does not give this family money for putting the blame on KHS. My guess will be the district is who they'll try to sue. And there'll be a slew of attorneys already that have been to their home and suggest a civil suit. I'd be willing to bet at least 5 attorneys have reached out to them. Hence the term ambulance chasers. One more, and let's take a break.
Ralph, you are naive if you think California Democrats and Democrats in general cheat in every election. One candidate winning at 10 p.m. on election night then falls to second or third place magically at 3 a.m. No way, especially if all votes coming in only for Democrats.
Then prove it. If it's so obvious, then prove it. I'm naive. So you're saying that the Democratic Party put away its mechanism to keep Trump out of the White House in 2024, the very mechanism they used in 20, and that's what makes me naive? Because after claiming that they stole the election from him, he went on to win every single swing state. The Republicans won the House, they won the Senate, and you're telling me that they woke up November 5th, the Democrats woke up and said, why did we use our mechanism from 2020? Geez, look what we got now. How do you all rationalize that in your head? When you all are sitting there talking about, oh, they stole it. How do you rationalize that they didn't steal it in 24? What is your rationalization? How do you logic that out? Oops, they thought they'd get caught, so they put away the mechanism that changes votes and changes elections. What do you tell yourself about the 24 election? Oops, the machine didn't work? The Dominion machines that cost Fox $800 million for lying about their effectiveness just didn't kick in 24, but it did in 20, and then it popped up in a mayoral race in LA in the same election where a Republican got on the gubernatorial ballot. There has to be logic in this. There has to be common sense in this. And how you all say, well, this election was rigged, but this one wasn't, because we ended up on the good side. 24 was wonderful, but 2020 was crooked. So, again, we've created this culture that if J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or whoever doesn't get elected in 28, it's stolen. What did Mike Lindell, the pillow guy that most of you adore, what did he say 47 minutes after he lost a gubernatorial primary? He didn't lose a general election against the Democrat. What did Mike Lindell say 47 minutes after he declared defeat? It was fixed. It was fixed. By whom? So therefore, you all agree with Mike Lindell then that Republicans are involved in fraud. Because that's what he said. That's what the pillow man said. And I've had Kathy Abernathy and many of you tell me he's not a grifter, he's an honest guy, he's a decent guy, wonderful human being. So then you are admitting then, if you agree with Mike Lindell, that it's actually Republicans that are getting involved with fraud, because that's what Lindell said. He lost a Republican primary and he claimed he got cheated. Because we know it couldn't possibly be the Democrats, because as Tommy Lasorda said about Kurt Bavacqua, who claimed that Tommy was throwing at him, Tommy came back the next day and said, Kurt Bavacqua, that 200 hitter, I'd get a limo to his house to make sure he gets in the ballpark so he can pitch to his 200 ass. Well, it's the same thing with Mike Lindell. The Democrats couldn't pick a better Republican to run against than that fraud. So it clearly wasn't the Democrats. So if you all are true election deniers, you believe that the Republican Party is involved with fraud because Mike Lindell got cheated out of a Republican primary. It just doesn't add up. And you can make all the assertions and statements that you want, but until you make some kind of proof, until you make some kind of sense out of the ability to change one election and then go into another election where every Democrat on the world would give his left arm to make sure that Donald Trump did not get back in the White House. Not only did he win all the swing states, not only did he win the popular vote, but he won the House and the Senate. And your only logic could be, I guess they put the mechanism away in 24, which makes absolutely no sense. It's not only illogical, it's stupid. That's what's so amazing to me. It's just plain stupid. If it wasn't so serious, it truly would be laughable. But so it goes. So it goes. Quick timeout. More of the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1. Ooh, and there are a lot of folks talking in the chat room. I'll unravel the mic and read what they're talking about as well when we come back after these important words. It's TRBS on Newstalk 96.1, AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we will not only have John Cox to do the news quiz, always a good time. We have Catherine Howling, who's one of the city council candidates of Ward 3. She'll be joining us on the program. And we have news and traffic and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
You know, there's an aspect of Casey's Steakhouse that I don't talk about quite enough, and it's really one of my favorite aspects what the guys in the back are doing, and that's the daily soups. Yeah, I know most of you order a salad because it's more healthy for you, but try the soups. The vegetable beef is incredible. The chicken noodle is unique. It's not like a typical chicken noodle. It's a little less salty and really, really tasteful. Big old chunks of chicken. My favorite is the chicken pot pie. It actually tastes like a chicken pot pie, or the corn tortilla. And of course, on Fridays, the clam chowder. Where would you rather be? You can get it in a bread bowl on Fridays. But just try that instead of a salad next time. And of course, try out the Stockyard next door, Thursday, Fridays, and Saturday nights. They've got live music on Saturday. And of course, Bobby and Jimmy are providing live music in the main restaurant Wednesday through Saturday. Where would you rather be than on F Street at KC Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show?
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Dr. Roland Rodriguez.
Hello, this is Bakersfield General Surgeon Dr. Roland Rodriguez, client and friend of Mr. Paul Sheldon. It is my great pleasure and privilege to relate to all of you my absolute exemplary experience with Team Paul Sheldon. I have also referred a number of my colleagues to Paul Sheldon's office, only to receive the most stellar feedback from my doctor friends regarding the office's expert navigation through the complex maze that is Medicare. And even though Paul Sheldon himself is now facing some temporary health challenges, his longstanding and most experienced and expertly trained team of ladies, Christine, Kelly, and Lynn, continue to masterfully guide the clients
through the complicated world of Medicare. You most definitely could not possibly do any better than to reach out to Paul Shelton several months before turning 65. Thank you.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $3 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Even that this weekend, or maybe later this week, on Turner Classic Movies or on some channel, you're going to see a slew of Dolly Parton stuff. You'll probably see 9 to 5 out there. It's a great film if you've never seen it. Again, Dabney Coleman plays the evil boss, and the trio of women is Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda, and Miss Parton. And that's really all. Like I said, Sterling Hayden has kind of a cameo at the very end. He was the sergeant that Michael Corleone shoots at Louis' restaurant in the Bronx in Godfather, along with Sollozzo. And it was kind of a film noir star in the 50s. He starred in those old, like, detective film noir films with like Dana Andrews. And again, you got to be old and you got to be a film nut like me to know what I'm talking about. But he played, I think it's called Suddenly, the film. Look up Sterling Hayden and Frank Sinatra films, them together. Where Sinatra, as a young man, this was shot in the, I think the 40s, right after.
There's only one called Suddenly.
Is it called Suddenly?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's it. Where Sinatra comes in, Franklin Roosevelt is coming through on a train through this town called Suddenly. And Sinatra is a gangster who, with another guy, keeps a family hostage because their home is the perfect angle for the shot. And let me see, what year does it say that was? That was
54.
54, yeah. Because it was the Manchurian Candidate that Sinatra did around the death of John Kennedy, which they delayed because of the death of John Kennedy. And that was another political thriller. You may have seen the most recent one with Denzel. It's horrible. If you've seen that one and you didn't like it, you need to watch the original with Vivian Lee, Tony Curtis's wife, Janet. What's the daughter's name? Jamie Lee Curtis. That's Tony Curtis's and Vivian Lee's daughter. Vivian Lee plays the female role in that, and it's a really good picture. It's a really good picture. But if you haven't seen this film, you really need to see it. And Sterling Hayden was a great actor, truly, truly was. But he plays the big boss, and that's about all the big stars that are in that film. In the meantime, we're headed into the 5. I don't have a lot of time. I guess I have some time to go over to the board, see what you guys are talking about. Let us move over here, shall we? Let me bring my glasses, as I need to do. David says, preach it, Ralph. I wish when you guys egg me on, you tell me what I was talking about. So when I read it later, I know what the hell you're talking about.
I'm assuming since it was so early, it has to be the shooting victim.
Yeah. Okay. Mary Marcus says, where is everyone? Hello, everyone. Les says, Beaver Dam, Littlefield, Arizona, between Nevada and Utah. I don't know what that means. Mary says, the schools need to be able to discipline appropriately. The teachers feel like their hands are tied because they're going to either be sued by the parents or lose their jobs because of administration. I agree. And when the teachers feel protected by a council superintendent, you will see more teachers that are not there for a paycheck. But until then, you will have to deal with what we have because they were being watched. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Let's read a couple of text messages. I only got about 2 minutes.
Let's see. The 2024 election, Republicans were encouraged to vote early. Too big to rig. Remember, Ralph? That's how we rationalized it.
Well, that's just as dumb as anything else, I suppose. What time you vote, how does that impact fraud? So is that the key? Then why aren't we saying, then vote early and there won't be fraud? Why can't y'all admit that Joe Biden just beat him? COVID had a big deal to do with it. And what's crazy is you all are letting the Biden family and the press off the hook. Because if you came strong with an argument that the press, in suppressing the Hunter Biden story, changed that election, I'd be leading the charge with you. Because the journalists in America going into that election did something that was unheard of. It's one thing, as I've told you, nobody believed the Watergate story except the Washington Post, Ben Bradley, Bob Woodward, and Bernstein. Nobody. Nobody was following it. Nobody was attributing it to the Post and saying this is what's happening according to the Washington Post. Nobody believed it. Why in the world was Richard Nixon, who was about to go on to have one of the biggest landslides, be worried about an election? Nobody bought it. But in this situation, newspapers and news teams went out of their way to not only say that the Hunter Biden story was bogus, but that anybody who reported it was being biased in favor of Donald Trump wrongfully. That's how that election was stolen. If the Hunter Biden laptop and his drug taking had been a major issue, Biden doesn't win. That's where the election was stolen.
Current Radio, AM 1230, KERN.
96.1 FM, K241CI, Bakersfield.
An American General Media station.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Country music legend Dolly Parton has died at the age of 80. Correspondent Laura Winters reports.
Dolly Parton's nephew and her longtime head of security confirming her passing in an Instagram post. The country music legend shared a health update this past Friday after canceling an event at Dollywood in Tennessee. She told People magazine that she was dealing with some health issues that she just didn't pay attention to when she was watching over her husband Carl. He passed away at the age of 82 last March.
Canada is striking back at the U.S. with retaliatory tariffs, imposing tariffs of up to 50% on about $20 billion of U.S. imports.
Over the weekend, the Trump administration imposed 50% tariffs on Canadian goods following the collapse of trade negotiations after Canada said it was a bad deal. On Monday, President Donald Trump intensified the confrontation, telling Canadian leaders to fall in line or face consequences. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says Washington is trying to subordinate Canada.
That we're going to set up terms so that over time, Canadian industry is going to face constant headwinds.
The new tariffs will take effect September 8th at rates of 15%, 25%, and 50% on more than 700 products, from steel to seafood to toilet paper. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
South Carolina Senator Darlene Graham is holding a lead over Congressman Ralph Norman in the race for the Republican nomination for U.S. Senate. Graham was appointed by South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster to succeed her brother, the late Senator Lindsey Graham, who died in office last July. On Wall Street, a good day as the Dow was up by 180 points. The Nasdaq rose 171. The S&P advanced 24. More on these stories at townhall.com.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not-so-perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds, and you're overweight. Winner, winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you, with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So, yeah, you need life insurance. But unless you're young and healthy, you've got to call Big Lou, because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds, too. Get a quote right now at 800-555-2085, 800-555-2085, or biglou.com.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
I'm Rob Archer. Bakersfield police say they're watching for more gang violence after Friday night's shooting at Independence High School. A 15-year-old boy has been arrested in the killing of 17-year-old Levi Jermaine Carter Brown. Police have since arrested 6 other known gang members in 2 separate incidents and recovered 3 guns, masks, and gloves. Investigators say the groups may have been getting ready for retaliation connected to an ongoing conflict between rival gangs. BPD says there was no active threat at the time of its latest update. Police say gang activity is no longer limited to a few traditional neighborhoods because Bakersfield has grown and people have moved throughout the city. Officers are keeping an eye on social media and other information for signs that another confrontation might be developing. An Emmy-winning documentary about foster youth is getting a Bakersfield premiere this weekend. Current Bridges Youth Homes is holding a fundraising gala Saturday night featuring the film Possible Selves. The documentary follows 2 young people in foster care as they work toward graduating from a 4-year university. Current Bridges has worked with foster youth and families in the Bakersfield area for nearly 40 years. The gala begins at 6 Saturday night. Another Bakersfield nonprofit is using pickleball to help seniors who struggle to pay for prescriptions and medical transportation. The Thrive and Purpose Foundation holds its first tournament Saturday morning at Game Day Sports Academy. The tournament itself is sold out, but the public can still come out for free community play and lessons. Bakersfield should reach around 104 again this afternoon under a heat advisory that continues through tomorrow night. Cooler weather arrives Thursday. I'm Bob Archer in the Current Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
To the rest of all in a month from now, this Hollywood Big Shot's going to give you what you want. So late, they start shooting in a week. I'm going to make them an offer again with you.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Tuesday, 25th day of August. This is the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com. Still lots to do. Talk about Jeb York, grandson to Eddie DeBartolo. Older folks will recognize that name. Owner of the 49ers during their heyday. And to this day, you talk to Joe Montana, you talk to Dwight, I almost tried to bring back Dwight Clark, who passed away a couple of years ago from, I believe, ALS. I think he died from Lou Gehrig's disease. But you talk to the fellas that played on that team, Roger Craig, who just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, and they will tell you that Eddie DeBartolo was the greatest owner that they ever had. That it was all about the players. And, you know, they were flying commercial before Eddie took over the team, and they bought a plane, and the guys were flying charter, and they were staying at quality hotels, which they weren't doing before him, and just created a culture there. And they went on one of the best runs in the NFL and was one of the best run franchises. And then DeBartolo got in some trouble with the governor of Louisiana, where they were trying to, down in Louisiana, they have these steamboats where they're basically casinos. And I forget the ins and outs and legalities of it, but somehow DeBartolo got involved with this crooked governor down in Louisiana who ended up going to jail. And I think DeBartolo might have done some minor jail time over this as well. But it's his grandson that has taken over the ball club and got caught in I guess a sting where he was, do you know the story, Chris? So correct me if I'm wrong. Where he reached out to a site which was essentially set up by the cops at a trailer park outside of Youngstown, where he's from, where the DeBartolo family is from. Because the DeBartolo family, Eddie DeBartolo's dad, this is interesting as well, is essentially the creator of the modern mall. I think they were living in Minnesota, and he wanted to put together a series of shops in one setting. And that's what started it. But it's Minnesota. How do you have a series of shops that people are going to go to in January and December in Minnesota? So it was Eddie DeBartolo's dad who said, we'll make it a dome. A dome? Yeah. We'll put all of these stores inside. But you'll have a multitude of stores. And you can do shoe shopping, clothes shopping. You can get some cookies from Miss Fields. I'm talking about the Fox Hills Mall. I'm reminiscing. Because we used to, as a kid, I don't know if kids still do this. Did you do this as a kid? Where you go to the mall and make like a day out of it?
Oh, heck yeah.
I mean, make a day out of it.
Yeah, mall rats. Heck yeah.
Oh, dude. Because many malls, at least in LA, had a movie theater. Yep. So that's where we would start. And then after the movie theater, we'd hit like a Swenson's, or many of them had a Baskin Robbins. You guys never had a Swenson's up here, huh?
No, not to my knowledge.
Oh,
unless it was before me.
Great. There are three great old school ice cream parlors.
Mm-hmm.
Swenson's, Farrell's. You guys never had a Farrell's? Mm-mm. Oh, Farrell's was the Chuck E. Cheese of the 70s.
Ah.
Every child wanted to have their birthday at a Farrell. Huge boat thing that they would serve the birthday boy. And it was like a foot long, and it was nothing but ice cream and nuts and whipped cream. And
God, that sounds awesome.
So I lied. I earlier said I've never had a birthday party as a child. I never did. But my parents damn near took me to Farrell's, and I got to invite a couple of friends. So technically, that's a party. There was a Farrell's, I think it was in Hawthorne, on Hawthorne Boulevard back in the day. But yeah, DeBartolo's dad was the one that came up with the idea. Let's just put them all inside. And that's where and then they got into furniture. They were furniture magnates in Ohio. And then Eddie took over the team, and then he handed it down to his sister. And now I think it's his grandson, York is. But you know what the question is? And it's a lifelong question. Should prostitution be illegal? What is the difference? And I only ask that because what's the difference between York going to a site and paying for sex and a lot of you out there, let's face it, are on OnlyFans? And isn't that a pay thing? Don't you have to pay for OnlyFans?
Yes, but it's not prostitution per se. It's more porn.
But what's the difference?
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right.
A guy is paying. A guy's not watching this for entertainment. He's watching this to have sex, granted, by himself.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. Let's be adults. Let's talk about this. OnlyFans are for guys who want to get off by themselves, looking at either somebody's feet or their behind or their breasts. What's the difference? And if a guy wants to pay for sex, and if a woman is willing to give this up, now, I don't believe in pimps and human traffickers like Kevin Mays, who will be out of prison next summer. Thank you, Cynthia Zimmer. Monty Hall. I don't believe in pimps who abuse these women, take all their money, make slaves out of them like Kevin Mays, the man that Cynthia Zimmer made a deal with that'll get him out of jail next summer. But if you want to establish a place where a guy can go and have sex, by the way, have you heard this? Speaking of prostitution, that the LA, let me play some audio for you. You will get blown away from this. I just recently found this out. Let me just play this for you just for a second. Hang on, since we're going to talk about prostitution, because this thing blew me away. And only in Los Angeles is something like this even remotely possible. Check this out.
So the Los Angeles City Council is trying to get a tax-funded brothel for the homeless passed. I'm not joking.
Pilot program for free hygienic sexual relief clinics, primarily serving the homeless and unhoused. This means equality. It means private sexual relief through masturbation or, where appropriate and consensual, with a partner, all funded by public tax dollars and managed with professional oversight. It's about allowing the homeless to have the same comforts and privacy that we have today.
Now,
I'm not making that up. That was real. They want to set up, in the City Council of Los Angeles, wants to set up brothels for the homeless. I'm telling you, democracies fail. They do. Republics fail. The fact that we've survived for 250 years is a modern miracle and a testament to how incredibly intelligent the founding fathers are. But we are on a downward slide. I don't think there's any question about that. And I don't mean to get so deep and to pretend that I can look into the future and that I can pretend that I know that the destruction of our democracy is starting to slide. I don't think you have to be that smart to see this. I really don't. You're seeing the erosion of our children. You're seeing mental health the lack of mental health at an all-time high, at least in my opinion. Gangs are revving up. Children are dying of overdoses. 36-year-old women are dying of overdoses. There is no question, and I don't think this is un-American to say, that we are on a slide. While China, meantime, is on the rise. Their children are more educated. Most of our children graduate from high school, they can't even read. They literally can't even read. We are in trouble. And we better pray that these next generations can save this country. We are divided racially. We are divided religiously. Anti-Semitism is back on the move. Heroin is back. Cocaine is popular again. And opioids continue to kill our children. And gang activity has returned post-COVID. Remember that downward trend we were on with murders? Crazy. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Who you got?
Jim is first.
Jim, you're on the Ralph Bailey Show.
Hey, I want to talk about something a lot lighter. Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor. Man, that's the greatest place I ever worked in my life.
Which one did you work at?
The one in Fresno, California. I worked there from 76 to 81. It was absolutely fabulous. Senior in high school. It was a lot of fun. I was excited when another group tried to buy them and try to bring it back, but it's failed.
Yeah.
We actually went to the one down in San Diego that was one of the original ones. When Bob Farrell first franchised, he gave a select handful of owners. So when Marriott bought them, they didn't have to go with Marriott.
Yeah.
And so if I had the money, I would resurrect it.
Yeah, I would too.
It was a lot of fun.
It was. It was a kid's just heaven. Heaven.
Yeah, they had the pig trough, the zoo.
The pig trough. That's what I was looking for. The pig trough. That long thing of ice cream. Yep.
Oh yeah, no, it was. When you mentioned Phil's, that was actually on TV. What was that show? The Boss, the guy that would go in and fix places. What was that called? He actually did a show on that.
Yeah.
What was it called? Yeah, shoot, it didn't do very good. But we went to the one in Magic Mountain area down there, and they attached it when the new company wanted to do it. They attached it to like events. This was attached to a what's it called? A miniature golf.
Yeah.
And it was okay. It was actually fun because went in and had a good meal. I don't know. It was just, you think of stuff when you were a lot younger. It was just a blast.
It was. It really was. I remember. Yeah. That's great memories. Thanks for the call, man. I appreciate that.
Bet.
That was fun.
You bet.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Who else you got? Larry, you're on the Ralph Bailey Show.
Yeah, I got two things to tell you about. When I grew up in Sacramento in the early 70s, we had a Phil ice cream parlor that was right next to Shakey's Pizza Parlor. And they had early 70s, they had one of those small private planes crashed into the Phil's ice cream parlor.
Wow. That's an uplifting story.
And that next thing I was going to comment on is your thing about the prostitution. You can ask any military person that's been in Europe about the prostitution they have over there. They have regular houses set up, and they get seen by the doctors, and most of them are pretty good looking. A couple of them might remind you of your girl from France with the hair under her arms.
All right, Larry. Thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Take care. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I don't think I could physically do it. Because the only thing that would be running through my mind, and I've been it's weird, my run-ins with prostitutes. I've had at least 3 run-ins with prostitutes. The one when I was a freshman in college and I ran down to avoid the hazing. I stayed in a hotel at the Marriott downtown in Atlanta. And a woman, a beautiful, tall, buxom black woman, asked me for my room number. She put her knee in my crotch at 17, 18 years old and got scared and realized I could not lose my virginity to a pro. And just, no. But the reason I couldn't do it is because the only thing I would think about is an hour ago, she was having sex with somebody else. And hell, maybe even 30 minutes ago. And that's just nasty. If you really want to talk about sex, if you've got kids in the car, you shouldn't be listening to me right now. But that's the whole thing about, you talk about threesomes and multiple sex things. And it's just like, no. Sex is supposed to be a one-on-one thing. And to have sex with some woman that just had sex like 4 or 5 times that day, oh my God. It's just abhorrent to me. And I physically don't think I could get aroused. I really don't. I know what you're saying. It's probably what Brandon Lang would say. Well, where do you see some of the pros in this business, Ralph? And I've seen them. I've told you the story when I was in Vegas. This woman that I did not think was a pro, she came out, I was waiting to get on a poker table. So I was sitting at the bar right outside the poker room, and I was playing, computer poker, just having a couple of cocktails, and she sat up next to me, didn't speak immediately. She was very well dressed, very low-cut dress. She put up the Louis Vuitton bag. She had the bling. Beautiful black woman. Started asking me questions. I told her, of course, the truth, that I worked for KNXT in Los Angeles. I was the #1 rated guy in LA. And we talked for about 5 or 10 minutes. And finally I said, what do you do? And she said, I'm in entertainment. And I said, well, what do you do? Do you work for one of the hotels? And she just kind of stared at me, and I was like, oh. And then she put up, would you like to hang out? What room are you in? And I'd learned from my freshman year, I'm not giving you my room number. And she said, this is all it takes. Or was it two? It was either $200 or $300. And she was gorgeous. And I just was like, no, thank you, no. Thank you. She said, you're sure? And she got up, walked away. And that's when I found out that the hotel, I won't say what hotel I was at, the Golden Nugget, but they were, wait, let me not libel these people. Was it the Golden Nugget? Yes, it was. Yes, it was, because that's the only poker room in downtown. And she knew exactly where I stayed. She said, what thing are you staying in? I said, because they have different, hotel areas. And, let's say one's called the Burdick, one's called the Bailey, one's called the Flores. And I said, I'm staying in the Burdick. And she said, okay, there's because apparently they can't just go up in the pros can't just go up in the elevators. And she said, well, go to the elevator. I'll be in the gift shop and just wave me up. And I was like, no, I don't want to get involved in this. Thank you. No, not going to do it. Not going to do it. But I truly do believe that this is a victimless crime. Unless it involves pimps, and I guess it almost has to, but I just, the only confusion I have about York is, dude, go get yourself $1,000 hooker. Go get yourself quality. Why are you going to some trailer for what we term trailer trash? Sense the term. That's the only thing I don't understand. Let's go ahead and take a break. We'll check the board, come back, maybe talk a little baseball. Oh, I'm going to give you the latest in Lindsey Clancy. We'll do that at the bottom of the hour. You'll hear from the defense attorney making his plea for a mistrial. And the only reason I'm playing this, it was denied. He's not getting another trial, Carmelo Anthony. He's going to be in jail for about 17, 18 years if he behaves himself in prison. But I want you to hear the defense explain why they called for a mistrial. Because again, as I tried to explain yesterday, they knew good and doggone well that this judge was not going to throw this case out at this point. Are you kidding me? But this will be a point of appeal. You can bet on that. Because they want to institutionalize. If the jury comes back and sends her to prison, you can bet your bottom dollar they're going to appeal. And this audio that we're going to play after the bottom of the hour break explains what the appeal will be based upon. But in the meantime, you're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Dr. Roland Rodriguez. Hello, this is Bakersfield General Surgeon Dr. Roland Rodriguez, client and friend of Mr. Paul Sheldon. It is my great pleasure and privilege to relate to all of you my absolute exemplary experience with Team Paul Sheldon. I have also referred a number of my colleagues to Paul Sheldon's office, only to receive the most stellar feedback from my doctor friends regarding the office's expert navigation through the complex maze that is Medicare. And even though Paul Sheldon himself is now facing some temporary health challenges, his longstanding and most experienced and expertly trained team of ladies, Christine, Kelly, and Lynn, continue to masterfully guide the clients through the complicated world of Medicare. You most definitely could not possibly do any better than to reach out to Paul Sheldon several months before turning 65. Thank you.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
Warmer weather is finally here, and that means cookouts,
ball games,
and maybe enjoying some time on the water.
But it also means lots of heavy food, sweets, and maybe an extra adult beverage or two. Thank goodness we both take Active Liver from New Nordic. Did you know your liver works around the clock processing food, sugar, alcohol, and everyday toxins? All the things that can really impact your health.
That's why daily support matters. Active Liver is designed to protect normal liver function and support your body's natural detox process.
With trusted tested natural ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and artichoke extract, it's gentle enough to take all year long.
No harsh cleanses, no extreme detoxes, just simple daily liver support. We really feel the difference.
Active Liver helps us enjoy the good things in life with peace of mind that our liver isn't working overtime. Active Liver is available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com, and you can find it in stores at CVS, Meijer Grocery, Wegmans, and now Active Liver is available at your local GNC.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
When you look at your carpet, does it look like it's 4th and 40? Time for a change? Carpet Outlet Plus has everything you need, all in one place. The largest inventory of waterproof plank and a massive selection of carpet. Free estimates, free fast carpet install, and no interest financing. There's only one place to go. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
In 2026, Bay Alarm celebrates 80 years of security. For the Central Valley, that means local service including burglar and fire alarm systems, 24/7 in-house monitoring, and custom security designed to work with business operations. Bay Alarm has real people rooted in your community looking out for your business. After 8 decades and 3 generations of family ownership, our promise is still the same. We got you. Learn more at bayalarm.com.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to The Ralph Bailey Show right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230 KER.
In terms of sports.
Oh no.
What?
The doubles. Serena's down, isn't she?
Serena is playing mixed double with Carlos Alcaraz. They easily won their first round match. They just got bounced in the second. How the hell did they lose? Doesn't Carlos have to go, you know, old woman, you are the problem. I'm number one in the world. You damn near 50.
He's also coming off an injury, though.
Yeah. That's so depressing.
And neither of them are really doubles players.
No, I've never seen Alcaraz play doubles. Certainly not mixed doubles.
Well,
but if Serena calls you and says, hey, Carlos, you want to play mixed doubles with me? What are you going to say? No. But they're out. Last half hour of the broadcast. Don't go anywhere.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington, South Carolina. Senator Darlene Graham, the sister of the late Senator Lindsey Graham, is maintaining her lead in the runoff election for the Republican nomination for Senate against the Congressman Ralph Norman. Graham was endorsed by President Trump for the position. Graham was appointed to the position after Lindsey Graham's death in July. Dolly Parton's publicist says the iconic American singer died at a Nashville hospital after a brief battle with cancer. Parton was 80 years of age. She spent 6 decades of stardom in everything from movies to hit singles such as Jolene and I Will Always Love You. On Wall Street, the Dow by 180 points, the NASDAQ rose 171, the S&P advanced 24. More details at srnnews.com.
Current Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN Newsroom.
I'm Bob Archer. The Better Business Bureau is warning college students about fake job offers and student loan forgiveness scams. Scammers can pretend to be employers or schools and ask for money or personal information. The BBB says students should be suspicious of anyone who sends them a check and then asks for some of the money back or promises instant loan forgiveness for a fee. An Emmy-winning documentary about foster youth will be screened in Bakersfield Saturday night. Current Bridges Youth Homes is holding a fundraising gala featuring Possible Selves, a film following two young people in foster care as they work toward college graduation. A Bakersfield nonprofit is holding a pickleball fundraiser Saturday to help seniors pay for prescriptions and transportation to medical appointments. I'm Rob Archer in the Kern Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Sprained wrist, ankle twist, broken thumb, can't make a fist, busted knee, surgery, that patch of ice you didn't see.
Where pain starts, Jernavix suzetrigine begins. Jernavix is a non-opioid 50-milligram prescription tablet for adults with moderate to severe acute pain that reduces pain signals before they reach the brain.
Tendon tear, nose repair, tripping on that broken stair, dislocation, operation, moped crash while on vacation.
Do not take Jernavix with CYP3A inhibitors. Avoid use with grapefruit or liver problems as these may increase side effects. Tell your doctor about all your medicines if you are pregnant or breastfeeding. Jernavix may make certain medicines and birth control less effective. Side effects include itching, muscle spasms, rash, and elevated muscle enzymes.
Joint displacement, knee replacement, fell on marbles in the basement, ladder slip, broken hip, that rock climb where you lost your grip.
To learn more about Jernavix, ask your doctor. Call 1-833-589-PAIN or visit jernavix.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
There was a hit and run at 3:06 this morning on Wheeler Ridge Road. I drove last week the entire western seaboard of this country, pretty much from one end to the highest, furthest up you can go. There's nothing to compare this town to in this county. There's just not.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1.
School on Friday. Police have confirmed that this was a gang rivalry, that Levi Brown, despite what his family either believes or is saying, the police have determined that he was, in fact, affiliated with a gang, and the 15-year-old who allegedly shot him was also involved in a rival gang. Here is, courtesy KGT-17, this is Shaquila Jackson, Levi Brown's mother.
Kern High should have protected my son. There was no protection. There is no way, I don't care who kid it is, should be on a campus and this happens. Where is the security? Where is the protection for our baby? This has to turn into something else. This is deeper than my son. Maybe he has to be the sacrifice, but it's deeper than my son.
You're right about that. It is deeper than your son. Because in my opinion, as cold-hearted as this may sound, it involves your family and how you oversaw this young man. And I don't know where he lost his way and how he got involved with gangs, but there should have been some sort of intervention. There should have been something. If you have to send him out of town to a family, because I asked myself, what if I found out that my nephew was involved with a gang? You know, the very first thing I would suggest to my family? Let's send him to Beaufort, live with our uncles for a year or two. Let him graduate from high school in Beaufort, South Carolina. Let's get him out of this situation somehow, some way. And if it has to be as drastic as leaving the state to save his life, because again, let's make this clear. There are exceptions. There are gang members that live to be in their 50s and the 60s. There's one on trial for Tupac Shakur's murder right now. And even at 63 years of age, the long arm of the law is inevitably going to catch up with you. There are 3 ways you can handle being in a gang. You can get out, which is difficult. I understand that. But gangs in Bakersfield are a lot different than the gangs that I dealt with in Los Angeles, where the gangs were based on neighborhoods. And children in Los Angeles felt like they had to be involved in a gang because if you didn't, the gang would come after you. Did you hear the story the other day about a Los Angeles kid that got shot? He was coming home and he got shot because he was wearing a Houston Astro cap. And apparently in that neighborhood, that's verboten. So they shot him. They killed him over a Houston Astro baseball cap. So for the family to get on television and blame the current high school district, as Howard mentioned, this is a prelude to a lawsuit. And Howard's probably right, unfortunately. But to make this thing go away, KHSD will give them 6 figures and they'll run like thieves. They'll run like thieves. Unless they get some powerful attorney who will do it pro bono and tell them to hold out, which is a distinct possibility. But to somehow blame anybody but yourself as a parent of a gang member is about as irresponsible as allowing your child to get in a gang in the first place. How in the world can we expect a mother of a gang member to accept responsibility when she sat and watched the boy get into the gang in the first place? And you say, well, Ralph, how do you stop a child from getting into a gang? Well, you are completely engaged in his life and you put up guardrails. You hopefully try to get him involved in something that will manipulate his time. And apparently they did. Apparently this kid was a football player. And that's rare. That is rare. At least that was my experience in Los Angeles, where most of the athletes, the gangbangers, were good enough to kind of leave them alone. Because this kid could be the golden goose for all you know. You might be going to high school with Marcus Allen and don't even know it. So the gangs in LA, at least, again, I don't know about here as much. I wasn't really a gang reporter, thank you, Jesus. But in LA, they left the athletes kind of alone. But this kind of thing it is a cultural thing. It is a Black cultural thing. It is an American societal thing. And there's a lot more I could say, but I just don't want to sit here on the radio and run down my own race. I really don't. But there's a lot more I believe that I'm just not going to say. You know, I say these reels on cruise lines where Black folks are acting a fool. I'll be blunt with you. I rarely see these mob white fights on these cruise lines. Very rarely, if ever. But just about every night around 9 o'clock after the Dodger game, when I'm watching the reels, inevitably something from a cruise line with a bunch of Black folks going at it shows up nightly. It is somewhat culturally, it almost ingrained in Black culture. And I can't explain it. I didn't grow up around it. I didn't see it until I was a reporter working in South Central. And the logic of it has always eluded me. I understood it in LA where these kids felt like that was their only protection in the hoods that they grew up. You know, if you grew up in Jordan Downs Your only protection was to be a part of the gang. Because if you weren't a part of the gang, you were going to be picked on by both the gangs. A lot of these kids felt it was almost a comfort to them. Most of them didn't have fathers, let's be blunt. And this was the leadership and unfortunately the moral compass that they followed, which of course made them career criminals. Career criminals. It's just mind-boggling. Children killing children. I will never understand. Meantime, I just want to play something real quick before we get to the final break. This is Lindsay Clancy's attorney. I told you the biggest development or the latest development is the fact that they asked for a mistrial. It was denied, quite obviously. But here is Lindsay Clancy's attorney, Lindsay Clancy, the woman on trial for a triple murder of her 3 children, ages 5, 3, and 8 months. And she has the onus of the state proving that she's not sane. In the state of Massachusetts, in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the onus is on the prosecution to prove that she's not insane. In other words, right now, as far as that jury is concerned, she's A, not guilty, presumption, and a presumption in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that she's insane. It's up to the prosecution to prove that she's not. Here is Lindsay Clancy's attorney explaining why they wanted a mistrial. I play this because this will, if she's sent to prison, will be the reason for the appeal.
This has been obviously a long trial and a lot of work on the part of everybody involved, from the court to the staff to the prosecutors to myself, and needless to say, the strain on Lindsay Clancy. I have to move for a mistrial reluctantly. The reason is that this is intentional misconduct on the part of the prosecution. You know that this whole idea of injecting Roman Catholic faith, the concept of mortal sin, into this trial occurred, I don't even remember now, about a week ago, and I objected, but before I could get the objection out, Your Honor had us at the sidebar at the same time, and very forcefully, in my opinion, indicated to the jurors that they should not consider that to any degree. At the time, I put on record the fact that I did not feel that I felt that the court's instructions were sufficient. They were forceful. They were right on point. And we moved forward without a motion for a mistrial. I made a tactical decision. But unfortunately, at this point, it's a concern I have because this is just over the top. It's the same thing again, talking about religion, talking about heaven, talking about killing people and the impact of the effect that it would have on Lindsay as well as her children. The fact that this is not the first time that it occurred during the trial, and the prosecution has previously brought up the concept of mortal sin, based on your ruling in the past, in conjunction with the fact that they brought it up again, I believe it was intentional misconduct, and I feel that the court should grant the motion for mistrial.
From what I understand, and I meant to ask Teresa Goldner about this when we had her in earlier, but I have a couple of buddies that are attorneys down in Los Angeles. They feel this is valid. In fact, the quote that one of my buddies gave me was, every first-year law student knows you can't go there. And the fact that they went there, were admonished to the point where the judge stopped the day and stood up and addressed the jury and told them to ignore this, and then said, you know what? Let's call it a day and send them home. If she goes to prison, which I don't think she is, this is going to be a valid point of appeal because they did it 3 times. They did it 3 times where they made allusions to mortal sin. And what they're trying to do, quite obviously, is pull at the heartstrings of some religious person on the jury and try to get them to say in their minds, I don't care if she's insane or not. God doesn't like for you to kill kids. I'm going to find her guilty and send her ass to prison. It's a mortal sin. I'm a devout Catholic. I don't care if she was insane. She's going to prison. That's what they're seeking. I'm telling you, you watch. I always tell you, you could feel what I know about law in my left ear, but I've covered enough trials to know when they screw up, and the prosecution screwed up. And again, let's go, Chris. I meant to ask somebody who's actually been in a trial and sat over a trial, Teresa Goldner, how much she thought about this. In fact, I'll text her tonight and see if she has an answer for us tomorrow. Tomorrow, when we have absolutely no guests scheduled for tomorrow. But that could change in the coming hours. But we certainly will be following the Lindsay Clancy case, give you the latest up on that, give you any more new information on this horrendous situation at Independence High School. And, of course, you got me for 3 hours. In the meantime, keep it locked. Scott Jennings at the top of the hour. And, of course, if you missed our 3:15 interview with Sheriff Donny Youngblood, be sure to go to YouTube so you can hear the entire 15 minutes with the outgoing sheriff. In the meantime, you are listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1, AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
Whenever you're ready.
Three, two, for the parents to blame the Kern High School district, which of course is a precursor to a civil suit, is a joke. I'm sorry, this may seem black-hearted, but your son was an arch criminal. He was a gang member. And there are two ways that gang members' lives end, either in prison or the manner in which this 17-year-old life came to an end. It's that simple. That was kind of harsh. What do I say? I ain't got none. No BC. I'm still in limbo. And no Jennifer and Ryan.
Any looming cases or news stories that you were going to bring up?
Oh, the Bustamantes are due in court this week. We'll talk about that, I guess. And the latest on the U.S. Open. And what else is going on? Here we go. 3, 2. It's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Wednesday TRBS. More fallout from the surprising decision from Sheriff Donny Youngblood. Plus, we'll have the latest on Ray Mata and Gabrielle Bustamante due in court on the Genesis Mata case. And the latest from the U.S. Open in New York City. All that plus me at 3. It's TRBS right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230. I'll see you at 3.
It's 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolate spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped Good RX and saw the light.
She can get a deal. Book telehealth if she feels.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check Good RX. Good RX is not insurance.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here.
Hey.
Oh, see, I was about to bring up to you because unpopular opinion was had on the JR show. JR claims he likes Dolly's version more.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
He did. He absolutely did.
No, he's a smart host. He knows that would have caused all kinds of
maybe.
calls. There's no way he believes that that's better than Whitney's.
That's what he said. He said he prefers Dolly's to Whitney's, and I even asked him, I was like, "Really? You think that? Huh? That's pretty. That's a bold statement."
And did he follow up by saying he prefers Carl Lewis's national anthem to Whitney Houston's? Are you kidding me?
No, he did say Whitney's national anthem is still his favorite.
Oh,
but
I'm shocked. Shocked. I thought he would have gone with Roseanne or Carl Lewis. Good googly moogly, man. Is he gone? Is he still here?
I don't think so. I
can't wait.
It's a Tuesday, so I'm pretty sure it's Lily.
Good googly moogly. That's
Yeah,
the
go back and watch this episode today.
And I love Dolly. I mean, I love Dolly. I love her music. Jolene, 9 to 5. What's my other favorite? I mean, she's got some classics. But that version,
it doesn't even sound like Whitney's.
oh my God. Whitney Houston had one of the most powerful voices in the history of singing.
Yes.
I mean, I saw a poll, not a poll, I'm sorry, I was watching Family Feud. A poll. Well, I guess that's a poll of some sort. The damn audience.
It's a survey.
But the question was, who is the greatest singer ever?
Ever?
Oh. And Whitney won. Whitney was first. I think Sinatra was second. And then there were some crazy ones. But yeah, they said that she had the greatest voice. And, you know, you can make an argument for that.
You can.
You really can. I mean, that
it's like, are we talking about singer by talent, or are we talking about like most popular singer?
I don't think she's the most popular. I just think pure talent.
Yeah, I was like, it's by talent, 100% she's up there.
Yeah, she wasn't the most popular. She had issues, obviously, and just a bizarre life. That her and her daughter die the very same way in a bathtub. Like, how crazy is that? On drugs, in a bathtub, mom and daughter die the very same way. Whitney died, I believe she was at the Beverly Hilton, not the Beverly Hills Hotel. She was at the Beverly Hilton, the one, the one down there by the 76 station in Beverly Hills. And then there's I think it's the Beverly Hills is the one with L'Escoffier, really nice restaurant there. Ooh, look at this. We're getting some early numbers out of South Carolina. And it is close, Jack. What's the percentage of votes that's in there, Chris? I can't read that.
78.
78%. And Darlene Graham, that's Taiwan. I don't really know much about Taiwan, is leading Ralph Norman in the Senate runoff. You will not be able to talk to Donald Trump if she pulls this off. Trump will be breaking his arm, patting himself on the back, that I've done it again. Because technically, and I hate to admit this, but this is all Trump. Ralph Norman is a very popular congressman in South Carolina. And for her to make the gaffe that she made the other night where she basically said, I didn't even know Taiwan was on the map. I'm stretching it a little bit. But for her to have a 6-point lead, and what time is it? Polls have only been closed for about an hour.
Yeah, it's about to turn
almost 9 o'clock in South Carolina. Wow. God, you know what I should have done? I should have had my uncles on, or Uncle Irvin. Although I bet he didn't even vote. Oh, it's a Republican primary. Of course he didn't vote. What am I talking about? My uncle's a Democrat. But nevertheless, wow, that is huge. We'll be following that all night. God, we got to do the promo over again. I got to tell them that we're going to be talking about a possible, I don't know, is that an upset? I thought it was an upset after the gaffe the other night. I didn't think she had a chance in hell of winning. But Trump's endorsement and, the power of her late brother, who was extremely popular in the Palmetto State. But I did not see that coming. I really didn't.
What level of it, too, could it just be people can relate to her in that sense because she was just being real?
Well, I think particularly in a state like South Carolina where those guys where they're just like, where they say to themselves, well, baby, I don't even know where Taiwan is. I don't give a damn about Taiwan. She was Lindsay's sister, and she's a pretty good old gal, and she's fine as being honest. At least she's honest with us, baby. Yeah, baby, I don't know where Taiwan is either. I don't care. If she brings down her grocery prices, that's all I give a damn about. Wow, I did not see that coming. Good for her. Good for her. And if you're Ralph Norman, you're just like, what? I'm losing? This woman doesn't know where we may be going to war in 3 to 5 years, and I'm losing to her? I'm telling you, it's hard to beat the relative of a dead congressman, senator, even, I don't know about governor, but, it's how Sonny Bono's wife, not Cher, his wife after Sonny Bono, got into Congress, Mary Bono. I don't know if I think she finally got defeated, but she went on to serve for a couple of terms. Remember when Sonny ran into a tree? That's not funny, but it's kind of funny. Dude died running into a tree skiing. Like one of the Kennedys did the same thing. They were playing football, the Kennedy boys coming down a hill, and one of them ran into a tree and died. That's going to do it for us. I want to thank Teresa Goldner, Howard Marcus, and of course, our 5-term outgoing Sheriff Donny Youngblood. Again, if you didn't see the interview, go to YouTube and check it out. We did it right at the top of the show, 15 minutes in. Tomorrow, we'll talk about the South Carolina Senate primary and a whole lot more. But in the meantime, for Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. We'll wrap to you tomorrow.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN. 96.1 FM, K241CI Bakersfield. An American General Media station.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. At a news conference, Governor Josh Shapiro says 2 people from Pennsylvania are the first measles deaths in the U.S. this year.
Both of the individuals were from Lancaster County, and both were unvaccinated. We hope and we pray that those deaths will be the last. I want to be clear. This illness and death from measles is completely preventable. We already have the tools to protect ourselves and our families from this disease, which is one of the most contagious diseases on the face of the earth.
The U.S. is enduring its worst year for measles since 1991. Earlier this summer, it surpassed 2025's record-breaking measles count with 2,777 cases as of Thursday, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Documents have been filed in court that say without Donald Trump's name, the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts would face financial peril.
The Department of Justice is arguing that if President Donald Trump's name is not on the Kennedy Center, the donor money for renovations will dry up, leading to its closure. The debate over adding Trump's name to the center meant to honor John F. Kennedy has been ongoing. The center's Trump-aligned board recently voted to add the phrase restored and renovated by President Donald J. Trump. Democratic Representative Joyce Beatty, an ex officio member of the Kennedy Center, opposes these changes, citing violations of the Kennedy Center statute. The Justice Department says that without Trump's name, the center will face financial ruin. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
On Wall Street, the Dow up by 180 points. The Nasdaq rose 171. The S&P 500 advanced 24. More at townhall.com.
If you owe the IRS back taxes, you need the best team on your side. Priority Tax Relief has helped thousands of Americans resolve their IRS problems and settle for pennies on the dollar. As a leading tax resolution firm, we have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, hundreds of 5-star reviews, and a 4.9-star rating on Google because we deliver results and huge savings. If you owe $5,000 or more and even facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or IRS letters, call us today at 800-741-5015. Once you call, our tax professionals will call the IRS with you for free, and within minutes, start negotiating a settlement. We'll put a stop to collections and fight to get you the best settlement possible. Choose the company Americans trust most. Call Priority Tax Relief now at 800-741-5015 to see what relief you qualify for. Don't wait. Make the call. Dial 800-741-5015. Once again, that's 800-741-5015.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
I'm Bob Archer. Bakersfield police say Friday night's shooting at Independence High School is part of a